It's Tarantino week, and we decided, I guess, to go alternative to the actual song. That was supposed to be Nancy Sinatra, Bang Bang. Instead, it was just a guy doing a nice, friendly little instrumental. All right, it is the Bennington Show. Nothing going to stop us, though. We don't let anything like that get in our way. I want to do a thing. I want to get everybody together to do pre-show meetings. Remember that. Put it up in the Google. Put it in the Google Calendar. Don't even write it. Type it in with your thumbs.
I will.
Does that have a word, by the way, thumb typing?
Just tippy tapping.
I think thumb typing is the way to go. This is the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Oh, hi.
And it is it's always a happy day when I say this. Coming up a little later on in the program, here's 3 words. Big Jay Oakerson.
Ow!
Now,
Ow!
This is going to be my first time ever running into short-haired Big Jay Oakerson.
Yeah, this will be a first.
This reminds you of like when you go back and see a band from the 80s and they no longer have that rockin' hair. It'll be a lot of fun having them come in here. All right, up on the iBank today. Matter of fact, I'm going to even tell people not to go see this. It's the fish with human teeth. And I'm going to, please, you haven't seen it yet, Gail?
No. Don't
look at it.
Okay.
Because it will haunt you and it will sicken you. But I'm just going to say this. This fucking fish has human teeth.
I need to see it.
Don't. I'm being honest. Do not go and look at it. There are things, just the pictures. Let's not go through all that. But there are things on this planet that are so gross.
Oh my God. I looked. Oh my God.
No, Chris, why are you groaning when you're the guy who put it up?
Because it still freaks me out.
Oh my
Is
God.
there any other pictures of the... look at that.
Okay, that actually looks like human teeth.
This is like... I would call this, if I was the one who found it, I would actually call this creature Mr. Limpet. And no one goes and does that anymore. Oh my God, look at his hair and he's wearing a bolo tie.
There's something really disturbing because it looks like dentures, like almost like someone had stuck dentures in
like a crazy Nazi fucking scientist,
some sort of
who ended up in South America.
Island of Dr. Moreau weirdness.
By the way, I like that movie more than most people do.
I actually enjoyed it as well.
I don't know why the hate. I guess it was just a time for, people to hate on Brando for being like a Bob Dylan head. But I enjoyed the shit out of it.
How people turned on Brando.
Yeah, they forgot everything that he brought. They forgot everything that he brought to the party.
What does a fish like this eat? What is the purpose of
steaks? It eats steaks, it eats cheeseburger, it eats French fries.
It's like, they look so worn, too. Like, he's been chomping on something.
Oh, yeah. He's chewing through wood. He's fucking chewing through beaver dams to get to them and then bite them to death. First of all, whoever he bites is just, imagine how long it would take us to kill an animal just using our teeth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we don't have sharp enough teeth for that. We eat animals once they're dead and cooked. That's how fucking far away we are from being vicious. So this, he's probably trying to bite a fucking alligator or some shit down there. And it's just taking him forever to chew it to death.
I hate the way it looks. I really
hate human teeth.
Look at that one has a missing one.
Yeah, it got kicked probably by another fish.
It's a bar fight.
Ugh.
Will these fish attack humans? That's what I want to know.
Of course they will. They have teeth. It's for chewing through things. They want flesh.
All fish attack humans, even minnows. They just don't bother us. But haven't you ever been to the shore and you just feel like little stuff going, hey, is this food? Is this food? Just fucking trying to bite in your leg and you're like, oh, minnows, I had to grab some with my hand.
Now, looking at that picture, just imagine that that's actually a human face and for some reason someone's lips look like that. It's so disturbing.
I know her. I just thought of something from when I was drunk one night. Matt in Connecticut.
Hey, Ron. When I would take my kids to the dentist, they have that stuffed dinosaur and it has these giant teeth. And that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that fish. It's just, it's completely, they just don't belong there.
I don't know this dinosaur that he's talking about.
Is this like something dentists use as
it's a
an
stuffed
aid?
dinosaur, and it kind of shows the kids how to brush their teeth, so it's like these giant oversized teeth.
Oh, yeah. They just have a big brush, and they're doing that fucking weird thing. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. I wasn't around for dinosaur days. I just remember a big fake set of fucking choppers. They would have a big brush, and they're trying to teach you up and down. And there's a boy, this is another fucking crazy thing. This is a GoPro motorcycle versus fire truck. Again, do not watch it. The guy has a GoPro on his bike, I guess on the handlebars, and then you just see him cruising along somewhere in California. Literally a stunningly beautiful ride. And when you, what the fuck happens with this? It's all the wrong shit, dude. You're hitting the wrong fucking one every time. So there's the ride taking off, and you can see, like, this looks like a gorgeous place to ride. He's got his friends with him, and what, they're just cruising along. Now you can see, well, like, from seeing it from this angle, you're like, I wish this was me.
Yeah.
I wish I was riding this bike with my buddies on the mountain. Everything that you see is just beautiful, and he's surrounded by nature, and he's going like just like a bat out of hell, and you're like, you know what? I don't care what my wife says. I'm going to go get a bike.
It actually makes me want to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's the first thing into your mind is like, this could be my Sunday. Yeah, I definitely want to do this. I want to take an 800-mile ride with me and just my friends. Every once in a while we get off and we find these great just like roadside dives and everything's perfect, because this ride is absolutely stunning. But this is one of the reasons why your wife doesn't want you to get a motorcycle, because in the middle of this beautiful ride, this stunning mountains, and you're just flying along, enjoying life, and then you come around a bend.
Looks good.
Yeah. And
so peaceful.
Yeah, it's absolutely peaceful until you get to a position in your life where you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I remember this girl in high school. I probably ought to try to Facebook her sometime. And then you come around the bend, fire truck, and boom.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Did he leave? Did he live?
Just like in that commercial, he lived.
Wow.
I don't know how. There's not a way in the world he lived. But look now how it's just laying there, the way you imagine a corpse to be laying with the sun. Look, it looks like the light. It almost looks like a tunnel that you should be heading towards.
I'm going towards the light.
Yeah. I'm going to the light, Grandma. Is that you calling me? Is that your old blueberry pie? Isn't it funny when you think about just like we still have the most childish ideas of heaven that there could possibly be?
Yeah.
And it's always like your grandmother's going to be there, your old friend from school who fell into a thresher by accident, but he's not all fucked up anymore. He's fine. Jimi Hendrix is just playing softly.
I like also the childlike ideas of God. Like what a child thinks God looks like is always really interesting. Because I remember my mom asking me and my brother when we were little what we both thought God was. And I was like, to me, it was like crazy. I was like, he's a wizard. He clearly looks like skinny old man, long white beard, wizard. Right. And my brother was like, oh, no, he's super huge, bald, and really muscular. Like, he thought of him like a wrestler.
Sure.
Like a giant wrestler in the sky. And I was like, super huge? What do you mean? He's just...
I just think God's going to be a puppy that licks your face.
Oh, God, I hope so. I hope
What do you need, God, huh? You need some water? You need some water, God? You want to chase me? God want to chase me?
Are you a god? Yeah, you are. Yes, you are.
You are a god, aren't you? You know you are. So people are writing to us that they did hear Nancy Sinatra and we didn't. It was like through a right channel thing.
Weird.
Jojo, you heard it in your ear?
I heard it, the vocals in my right ear.
I had my headphones on. I didn't hear them in either left or right.
I think I had.
So we were the only ones who didn't hear.
Yeah.
Maybe you heard it in your rear, not in your
that
ear.
could be it.
Could have been that too, yeah.
Mhm.
This fucking studio. Well, it's pretty to look at.
It's
you know?
gorgeous.
It's pretty to look at.
The screens.
And then they want us to take some time off around July 4th so that they can work on the track lighting. And I'm like, yeah, that's another thing that helps you in the radio business. Nice lighting.
Nice ambiance in here.
People are also writing in that Big Jay had a drunk night last night.
Oh, no.
On one of his many podcasts, his Renegade podcast. And he isn't a drinker.
Really?
No, he's
I didn't know
a
that.
herb smoker. He smokes herb.
Well, I hope he's doing all right today.
By the way, if somebody came up to you at the park and say got any herb, would you think it was a cop?
Yeah. 100%.
What would you feel comfortable with if they said?
If they were asking me?
Yeah.
Nothing. Literally to be approached.
There isn't a term that you expect marijuana to be called by a regular person as opposed to a cop.
I guess weed is the only one. Like everything else
I
is
think
like
grass is the way to go. Hey, got any of that grass? And it is like really funny now that people make fun of the term grass, you know. But you're like, well, weed is no different.
I'll tell you what, I prefer grass to trees. I never embrace
trees.
I never embrace trees.
It's
It always made me feel weird.
I still like the old jazz term of blowing tea.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you know I like reefer. It's the only one I'm comfortable with.
Well, that one really goes back far.
Right.
That one goes back like the early turn of the century.
But I think I embraced that in high school because I already felt weird about, like, none of the words I'm really comfortable with. They all sound silly to me.
Pot sounds dumb.
Oh, pot's the worst.
What about herb? Is herb stupid?
Herb is...
That's what started this conversation.
Herb is the one that we think, yeah.
Old days.
Yeah.
Coming up a little bit, Dan the Man has a piece for us about comedy movies that were panned. Here's a thing that you're going to like. Breakfast of Champions is being released by Audible with John Malkovich reading it.
Oh, man.
I haven't done the old school book on tape for a long time, but I'm going to spend a Malkovich summer listening to this. And it's cool because I haven't read Breakfast and Champion in decades and decades. So I'll go back to being surprised again.
And also, I love a book on tape, like for a road trip. That's like the best.
It is. It's kind of cool. I like anything with Kilgore Trout in it. That's always just a favorite of mine. But Malkovich is one of those guys. There's something about his voice that you just pay attention to, you know, no matter what weird shit that he's saying.
It's surprising to me. I wonder if he's ever done this before because his voice seems like it would be perfect. It's like interesting to listen to. It's like really dynamic, but I would say it's also soothing. It wouldn't be like...
There's a lot of stars that have read books on tape. Sean Penn has done some. Matt Dillon did On the Road. It's I can't imagine what they would have to pay me to sit and read an entire book.
Yeah, how long does that take to record?
It's got to take weeks, right? I mean, you're looking at a book that you're reading out loud, and imagine how many times, like, you just do a commercial read, and you're like, all right, I fucked that up. Sorry, let's go back.
Right.
To it. You know, I can't make it through an intro.
It's like every 2 sentences, you're fucking something up.
I mean, I could probably do Green Eggs and Ham or something like that, but I can't imagine sitting in a sound booth by myself reading a novel.
And how long can you even cut that? Like, how many hours do you think, if you had to take that job, how many hours could you say, okay, cool, I can do this many hours a day?
Well, I imagine that they don't have studio time forever. You know what I mean? So it's probably really long days until you get out of there.
Just like 5-6 hours of just reading until.
Oh, I think you're looking to double that.
Really?
Yeah, because you've got to do the studio time. And, I don't think that they sell a ton of these to make up for that. But then somebody else is sitting there with a book next to you, making sure that you said and not an.
Yeah.
And you see here, he's just reading the novel. Like, he's just got the novel open. They don't have it on pages on the stand with him like it was sheet music.
That's what I would assume.
It's just a dude. Yeah, just go ahead and hit it. He's seeing all these for the first time. But you just see a dude. There we go. The second one where he's actually doing it. You just see him sitting there with a novel in front of him reading.
Only 100 years before.
So.
And when you think of the shit that most of these factories make, wash day products, cat food, pop, he had a point. The planet was being destroyed by manufacturing processes, and what was being manufactured was lousy by and large. Then Trout made a good point too. Well, he said, I used to be a conservationist. I used to weep and wail about people shooting bald eagles with automatic shotguns from helicopters.
I mean, that's not an easy thing to pull off at all. Here's Mike in Ohio. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, the hardest thing about doing that book on tape's got to be like getting the inflection right. Not even so. You have to read the book a couple times so you know where to go with it.
Well, remember when you guys were little and the Harry Potters got out, and I used to get it on tape when we would go on vacation, and the same guy would read every Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You can look him up.
Yeah.
And he would play all the characters. Right. He would play the girl. He would play the mean guy. He would play the little weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, he had a cast of, I can't even imagine, 50, 60
easily
voices per book.
Yeah.
Like it would be
ooh, Harry. I don't want to go there. Harry was very upset when he got down the hall, and there was Snape. Harry, what are you doing here? This is a whole nother voice I'm using. It just went on. You're like, this fucking guy is unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I grew up with a Saturday morning host named Gene London, and he would show us cartoons, and then he would draw pictures as he told stories, and he would also like do voices and stuff. And now we had no idea at the time. He was very theatrical.
Sure.
He also was a guy who collected. He had the largest collection of ladies' evening gowns from the golden age of Hollywood. That was his side job. Yeah.
Nice.
And he lived in the Village and used to drive down to Philly for these. But he would do all these fucking characters, and he was doing a woman. He would put a blanket over his head, and he used to scare the fuck out of kids.
Wow, that's amazing. I wonder if they still have shows like that probably not for kids.
I don't think kids could pay attention to that now, you know what I mean? Like they need to see a Pixar going around, just a man sitting there. But within seconds, you were like blown away when you were a kid. But you didn't have anything really to compare it to.
Right. This is better than not watching TV, so it's definitely good.
Here's Justin in Jersey. Hey, Justin.
What's up, guys? The Harry Potter books on tape are fantastic. My fiance was doing all the time on long road trips. But the Game of Thrones books on tape, talking about all the characters the one guy and the Harry Potter narrator was doing, the Game of Thrones one is insane. I cannot imagine having to sit through the recording sessions doing one after another after another. If you get a chance, they're awesome, but I mean, it's an undertaking for real.
Is it just one dude reading it? All the books?
And he does all the voices just like the Harry Potter guy does. And I mean, it's actually better than the show, and I've read a few of the books. It's the best way, and it's on long road trips. Incredible.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, I can't imagine not doing it. Hey, Ian, you're on the Bennington Show.
Hi, Ronnie. Thanks.
Hey.
Yeah, I was just calling to your stream caller there. The gentleman's name that did those Harry Potter books was Jim Dale.
Jim Dale. That's
Jim
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most characters for a book on tape. And I think the record's been broken now, but at the time when they came out, he was in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I think he won a Grammy for his voice work. On
You can win spoken word stuff.
Yeah, I believe that's what he did.
They normally give it to Hillary Clinton or somebody like that for reading her own book.
Right.
Brett, how are you?
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, back, it had to be 92, 93. He read the Cormac McCarthy trilogy of, it's the one with Horse Whispers.
It wasn't Horse Whispers. It was All the Pretty Horses.
All the Pretty Horses, yeah.
No Country for Old Men and The Road.
Yeah, no, it was, there's a border trilogy. It's just 3 books on the Texas border.
Yeah. What is the other one?
Blood Meridian.
Blood Meridian, thank you.
Yeah, and Stranger Passed By. But whoever did it, they didn't know Spanish very well because he kept pronouncing Spanish words with an English diction.
That's funny, man. I mean, that would be a tough thing to pull off.
Yeah, but you got to have somebody there that speaks Spanish.
But imagine you were driving across Texas listening to those books. It would be phenomenal, right?
I have a memory. I wish I could remember the name of the book, but that we listened to on a road trip. It was like The Sphere or something like that.
Yes, it was The Sphere. It was Michael Crichton, I guess. And it was really, well, you guys were young enough that it was really electric.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you wouldn't have read yourselves,
of course,
you know?
Yeah.
So, and then the movie came out. It was like fucking awful.
Yeah,
we went the first day of the movie. Like, this is going to be great. Remember that road trip? But it's really, really cool for kids to get into that kind of shit because it does help you do stuff that's above your level.
Right.
You know? And I tried to, because Fez never read books, and I would give him like a book on tape, like, just try, listen.
Would he do that on the plane or something? That seems like it would be good for him.
His concentration never could work. He didn't have the concentration to read a book.
Right.
And then he didn't have a concentration. It would just leave him and go somewhere else. I don't know how you get a college diploma. It just blows me away that you can get a college diploma and not be able to read a book.
I've heard that some people feel more compelled to read when they're forced, and some have the complete opposite. So it's like some people are like, oh, my teacher gave me this book, I'm never going to like it because I'm being forced into it. And other people, because after they left school, it's very hard for them to pick up a book without someone saying, hey, you need to read this book, and you need to read it by the end of the month or by the end of the week or whatever.
I always found it terrible. Like, read the next chapter. Either I'm going to read the fucking book or not. I'm not going to fucking sit here and take 13 weeks to read a fucking novel with you morons. I'd rather go out, fucking drive around Beaver Valley, smoke pot, and fucking yell out the window at people.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. Seriously, I should make a fucking movie out of that. Logan in Austin.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, I think, by the way, Gail, I was one of those people that hated when I was assigned a book. How you want me to read that? Fuck off. That kind of.
But I remember saying that at first and then reading stuff and being blown away by it.
Yeah, you can get into it for sure. But two really good versions of books read by actors. Tim Robbins does a great version of The Great Gatsby. That was awesome.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. And then Donald Sutherland does perfect. He's perfect for The Old Man and the Sea, and he does a great.
I would love to listen to that because I love Sutherland's voice too.
Awesome.
I've interviewed him a couple times and have just spaced out while he was discussing. And here's the weird thing about Sutherland. I don't know. He doesn't bring up why, but he knows a great deal about treaties. And in the middle of the conversation, he'll be like, it's like that treaty between, and he'll bring up these two countries and he goes
like dates
on and on. And he goes, what was the man's name? And I'm like, I'm fucking lost, dude. I've never read a treaty in my life. It wouldn't even dawn on me. And by the way, he looks like God now. You know what I mean? He has that complete, I've been waiting for you here. I'll tell you this, we were bringing up about being assigned books. What I hated was being tested on a book.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
It's the stupidest thing to do. Just read the book.
Well,
it's fiction. How could you test someone on fiction?
I used to have a problem with going through and following the teacher's interpretation of the book, and then that being what the test was based on. Like, not even facts from the book, but it's like, what did that represent? And you're like, but that's what you said it represented.
Right.
This is not fact.
If he wanted it just to be out there, he would have said, just like the American government, right? The children on the island started to go their own way. You fucking killed Piggy, man. That was hardcore.
Horrible.
That was hardcore British shit there. Heath, Baltimore. Heath.
Hey, guys. My 5-year-old, we've taken her to see several professional, like, live readers. It's kind of like, at the local library, it's kind of like theater, but it's just in, like, their little, like, multi-purpose room. And they've memorized a handful of stories, and sometimes they'll dress up like the main character or a character in the book. And they command, I don't know how many kids in a room. So it does exist, and they don't necessarily need Pixar. They just need somebody that's passionate about what they're being told. You know what I mean? And all these kids are entirely.
You know, we had the book pirates. I don't know whether they still do it.
Story pirates.
The story pirates. They come in here and perform, and you'll see the kids sitting, and it's an amazing thing to see. I mean, they're kind of Broadway actors that are, you know, it's just like a troupe that comes in and out.
Right.
But they throw themselves into these performances like you wouldn't believe. Like you could never get yourself up for this.
My favorite book on tape for children is Ernie's Big Mess.
Ernie's Big Mess.
Pictures by Joe Matthews.
This was a book on tape that we gave Gail when she was little, and she was in the back seat, and we were doing a road trip. And she just kept listening to it over and over and over, right? And it was keeping her chilled. And then later we're at the hotel, and she just stands there and does the entire book, and we were like so weirded out, even down to like the little sounds that are supposed to mean that you changed the page. God. It was nuts.
It sounds like brainwashing almost.
It didn't, and we always said we were going to fucking videotape that, and we never did. But it was creepy weird.
Yeah,
creepy weird. Here's John in Miami. Hey, John.
Hey, how you guys doing? Michael Connelly, the Harry Bosch detective books. They're, great on tape, but I don't know how many exits my wife and I have missed listening to those books.
I've done the same thing too, man, where you just keep on driving. What the fuck?
Right? All of a sudden you're like, where are we? You know,
you're 3 hours away from where you're supposed to be.
Right.
We ought to do a book. We'll do something for Christmas, maybe, where we'll read all of the characters and shit.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I say that now because it's June and we don't have to.
And then in November, I'll say, hey, aren't we going to do that thing? You're like, no, that's dumb. That sounds dumb.
Stop bringing up shit that's work. Jerry, Missouri.
Hey, Ron, do you ever listen to the old-time radio programs on Sirius, like Gunsmoke and Have Gun Will Travel and Johnny Dollars? Those are... Man, they put you in that place. I could even smell the...
Well, that's what, my parents grew up where that was the entertainment for the family, where you grew, when they were little kids, you sat around the radio.
Right.
And I've listened to some of the old-time comedians, and they're fucking unbelievable. But for some reason, we're not drawn to that type of thing anymore. Well, I guess it came back with that stupid mystery that everybody listened to over Christmas. The cereal.
Cereal, yeah.
Yeah, were you on that bandwagon?
I did. Yeah. Was not happy with it.
Not happy?
No, I wasn't happy, but I stayed with it.
And then that Ira Glass stuff is kind of, let me tell you a long story through this, through my Fred
Glass.
Yeah. I'm Fred Armisen. Fred Armisen was on the other night doing an Ira Glass.
He does a great Ira Glass.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was, what's the awards that they do? Not the Peabody Awards, I guess. Amy Schumer won one, and the Vice crew won one. But it was very funny because, it's kind of an intellectual award. And then Amy Schumer said, And I'll be talking about my pussy for a half hour. And I'm like, holy shit. Didn't expect, not even I'll be talking about my vagina for a half hour. I'm like, that one caught me like, oh. But these people don't need to hear that language. I was just ready to jump into some kind of a weird thing that I don't even believe in. How dare you, ma'am? How dare you? Yeah, I didn't jump into the cereal thing, and I was annoyed by people who did. Rob, Charleston. Hey, Rob.
Hey, buddies. About 3 weeks ago, we were going up to a lake house, and we were tired of, like, the kid always playing on the iPad in the bag, just, like, playing video games. So my wife had a good idea to throw on an old radio version of a Wizard of Oz, and it actually had Judy Garland in it. And she sung all the songs, and it wasn't exactly, like, word for word like the movie, but I found myself, like, I loved it. Of course, 10 minutes, she's singing the most famous song in the movie, and I got tears rolling out of my eyes. Oh, Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, I was kidding you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
I'm from America. Very familiar with that.
Yeah, and 10 minutes into it, he could care less, but I got to put my sunglasses on because I got a tear rolling out of my eyes. It was awesome.
I've never even heard about this. This sounds stunning.
I would love to listen to that.
Does she do the NEM part?
NEM! Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
That was considered acting back then.
And you can take that voice and then just put a little speech impediment on it, and then you've got her daughter. Same thing. Oh, Buster! That's all I can say. That's literally all I can do is just Buster.
I could do one impression from The Wizard of Oz.
What's that?
She bit her dog, did she? That was always my favorite part. When I was a kid, I'd look around at my family. Like, you fucking believe the genius that just took place there? He's acting confused, but he knows.
He knows. Oh, he knows.
He's just fucking with everybody. This is great. I hope they never leave Kansas. Maybe still the most brilliant thing ever in film, going from black and white to color, you know, at that time, 1939, to even fucking think of that.
I think that the amazing thing is that if, like, watching it as a child, obviously I grew up with color television,
right,
and it still was magical to me when it happened. Beautiful. And I remember the first time I saw it, even thinking, like, I forgot about color. Like, I literally had forgotten that. Even in that short time.
You know, that we say black and white, but it's more like brown and white. Like, the beginning of that is really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's got that kind of sepia tone to it.
And, you know, the guy I thought that he said was so funny. He doesn't really follow the movie. That's because she was reading the book.
Right.
And every time they try to do something else with The Wizard of Oz, I can't get it done. By the way, 1939 is when that movie came out. Did not win Best Oscar. Who thinks they know this one? Best Oscar 1939.
Would it be like Gone?
Snow White?
You had it.
Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the Wind won Best Oscar that year. The New York Post today has asked that Gone with the Wind follow the Confederate flag into a place where people don't deal with it anymore.
Come on. Here's the thing.
It makes sense.
I watched Gone with the Wind for the first time. I think it was only about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was by myself. I was like, nothing to do that night. And I was like, I'm going to watch Gone with the Wind. And about 5 minutes in, I was like, this is ridiculous. I could not believe the romanticism of the South. And then 10 minutes in, I was like, this is the greatest movie ever. Like, it's only jarring at first, and then very quickly you're like, oh, I hope the South will rise again. Yeah. Like, it's an incredible story. It's crazy the way it loops you in that way.
So you watched it in one sitting?
Yes, I
All
did.
4 hours?
Yes, I did.
Wow. I did it over 3 days. And then when it was done, I said, nothing is shittier than Gone with the Wind.
Really?
Yes. I hated them all.
Yeah, they are horrible.
No,
She's awful.
They were boring more than anything. You bore me, I would yell. But the Post is, I'm with them. I want to burn this movie. I want to burn books. I want us to knock down like any kind of statues that aren't of Jesus.
Yeah, good idea.
And we just go to Chinese restaurants and we knock over the Buddha and we beat it with fucking sledgehammers.
Because it is the symbols that hurt us most in this world.
It is thought that hurts us more than anything. Thought that is contrary to the thoughts that we have or learned as children and now repeat in our heads over and over. That's the scary thing.
Dangerous.
Yeah. I say this, United States of America, one country, one thought. Let's leave it at that.
United we stand, and united we think.
Right. And we turn like fish, everyone just heads to the left, straightens out, right? And then when there's a sick fish, the rest of us go at it and bite it and bite it and bite it with our human teeth until it's dead.
We have to use our teeth.
Oh, by the way, speaking of free speech, is today's Gurian's Day? Yeah, today Gurian is doing an AOL chat with Lisa Lampanelli. Let's tweet that out for everyone to check out. Jeffrey loves free speech unless it's anti-Jewish.
Sure.
If it's Nazis or Palestine, fuck those people.
Right.
But of the rest of that, he's all for.
Or ladies who working blue.
Ladies who talk about their digestive tract. He can't handle that.
Yuck.
Women talking that dirty stuff.
It's not from Jeffrey.
Dustin, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good afternoon, Ronnie.
Hey.
I know you guys were still on book topic a little bit, so I just wanted to chime in.
Sure.
Once got myself in trouble over $400 with a speeding ticket. I was listening to Apt Pupil by Stephen King. Was going too fast on the highway, scared of that sniper that the book portrayed, and Indiana patrolman made sure that I went away with the parting prize of a $400 ticket.
Jesus, that can happen to you, man. I used to have a buddy that we would change out the music without him ever knowing to make him go faster or slower.
Really?
Yeah, we used to crack the fuck up. And we'd say, like, hey, we'd be heading to the shore or something. I go, watch how I can fucking puppet this son of a bitch is driving. And you would put certain things on and he'd just be laid back. Then you'd fucking blast him the rock and he's leaning forward, just fucking hammered down. It was hysterical. He had no idea that he ever did it. Kendall in Texas. Kendall. Once, twice, lost you. Candace, how are you, darling?
I'm good. I just want to say that my son, he's 9, and he's listened to all of, R. Tolkien stuff and Roald Dahl and C.S. Lewis and Hobbit, all these major books, and his vocabulary is huge because of it. He can have a conversation with adults, but also it's something that I can turn him on to instead of pawning him off onto the iPad or onto a phone game. You can say, hey, why don't you put your story on to keep them occupied for 20 minutes?
But what is it about little kids, like babies, that like the same story every night?
Well, you do still have to do that, book reading. I think that's really important. The words on the paper, I think that kids learn differently that way by actually visually seeing the words. Something about how the light is reflected instead of just shot right into their eyes like from a computer screen. They learn, their brains develop that way.
I would always just try to switch it up a little bit on the kids and then they freak out. I'd be like, good night, moon. Good night, toilet.
No.
Good night, what?
That's not what it says.
Then why don't you read it?
I can't.
They know every word of it. But if you throw a toilet in the middle of a good night, moon, they're all pissed off about it.
But that has to do with, we discussed this before, the first thing that makes children laugh is repetition. There's definitely something about babies that are comforted by doing the same thing. It's why they're wild about peekaboo. It's I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I like it and I know what's going to happen now.
Yeah, you think that we grow out of that, but people watch Seinfeld and Friends every night before they go to bed. There's my Seinfeld friends from the early 90s. This is like the beginning of the Clinton administration where we all believed.
It'll be an episode you've seen a dozen times, and you're just yeah, let's put this on. Comforting.
Sugar Ray's walking by, looking like $1 million.
Yeah, looking great.
Yeah. I I just want to fly. What was, what's his real name? It's not Sugar Ray. People call him that.
It's not Sugar Ray.
I think it's,
oh, yeah. He's got
what is it?
Mark McGrath.
Mark McGrath.
Okay, let's do away with the jokes and go straight through. I have my own little gag there that was going to fuck you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it?
My joke was going to be it's Pepper Ray, so it wouldn't have been all that good to begin with. That's his real name?
No, it's good.
Yeah. I would like to do a boxing, like a celebrity boxing, that Sugar Ray fought Sugar Ray Leonard. Let's see what
Right.
one of you guys gets to keep the name Sugar Ray.
No, I like that you said that joke up because you're like, no one's going to know his name. And Joe's actually like, I have that information. Why?
I'm only playing the songs in one channel.
I know every song by them. Grew up in the 90s.
Bum, 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 bum. All we heard was the
Yeah.
one channel in here.
Yeah. Yep.
Play it now while we're sitting here. It would be an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Yeah, finally. Now that the rage has subsided. The two things I want to do is have the guys know whether the song works, and maybe someone from our staff take a look at the videos before the show starts, just so they can familiarize themselves. All right, let's listen. Or just hearing the one part of it. I guess if this was karaoke, it would be great. Although it always lets me know I would have no idea where to jump in.
And then the folks at home he can hear it fine, or it's
Yes,
just
they're the
us?
ones who wrote it into us.
Okay.
Because we never, Joey didn't tell us that he could hear it in there. I just saw him scurrying about looking crazy.
Flustered.
He looked like Who Moved My Cheese. Like if we were going to do a live reading of that. All right, if we were to do a live Christmas reading, pick the book.
A live Christmas reading. You got to go with the big one. What's the Christmas? No, let's go with the Grinch.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to do the Grinch? Mm-hmm. What about for you, Joey?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay, it's not a Christmas story, dude. I love to get the guys to listen to the show and follow along. What are you going to do? Dive her down? Dive her down by Van Halen?
That sounds good. Okay. Red and white, so at least there's that.
Here's our buddy Andy in Cleveland. Hey, Andy.
Hey guys, stepping back to the for upcoming geekery and back to the books on tape thing. Stars is going ahead with American Gods by Neil Gaiman as a TV series, but the book on tape, narrated by George Goodall, is amazing. It's one of the few books on tape that I've listened to like over and over and over again. It's really a great read. And Lord of the Rings on tape, not the version where they're doing like the radio play, acting it out, but there is a version written, I can't think of the narrator's name, but you read the cover to cover. That changed that book for me because it made the first book passable. The first book, you get into all the history and all the songs and stuff, and this guy actually, puts rhythm and some form of tone into a lot of the speech they puts out there, and it makes the Fellowship of the Ring book just a different experience. You can actually get through it, and the histories and the poems don't actually bore you to tears.
All right, my brother. Thanks so much, man. I want to say that American Gods, when it comes to stars. Do you know that Hitchhiker's Guide was originally a radio play that they did in England?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool for us to get that?
I definitely want to hear that.
Why don't we break here? When we get back, Dan has put something together for us, and that's classic American comedies that have been panned when they first came out.
Also, the Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan Unmasked is happening Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m. at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City. For your free tickets, go to theinterrobang.com.
See, what I would like to do is have that as a conversation more than a drop. You know what I mean? Like that could come up rather than a forced thing that we could be like, hey, let's remember to do that. And then we could sell it with some passion rather than dropping that voice in like that. Okay. Like it was something we had to do rather than something we wanted to do. Because I think that's going to be an amazing show.
I'm excited.
And your chance to see it. And I got word on this, and I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. This has never happened to me before. But the Catholic channel is interested in running that unmasked.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's their
first
guy.
Well, the first episode has to do with them being Catholic and what does it mean that you're Catholic. So I was blown away that they even...
It's a super funny episode, too.
Yeah, it's really, really funny. But I was blown away that the Catholic channel would even be like, hey, they just said Catholic. This is great.
We're in.
And then that made me think when they asked about it, I'm like, wow, when's the last time have you heard anyone on any kind of entertainment bring up, catechism? It just doesn't happen.
It's very rare, yeah.
Yeah.
It's certainly not in a way that they're not being judgmental of it. I mean, that comes up quite often, but...
All right, it's Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan. Make sure you get tickets to this. We had it planned before, and we had to rebook it. The tickets are already going really, really fast because, like I said, we're not the only channel interested in this. All the channels are freaking out over it. So it's Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan. Go to the ibang.com. That's the ibang.com for your chance to win free tickets to Jim and Jeannie Gaffigan. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time. We'll be right back. This is Bennington. Tito Beveridge is the man who came up with Tito's vodka. Tito killed a bear when he was only 3 years old. And then Tito and his big blue ox would travel around North America, and they would throw out apple seeds so that apple seeds grew everywhere. Until one day, he jumped on a twister, rode across the country, landed up in the Catskills, and fell asleep for 100 years. And after that, he woke up with an idea. Said, I can start making vodka for my friends. And that's what he did. And it was Tito's handmade vodka. And this is America's original craft vodka. If you know what I'm saying when I mean that, I mean no one did it before Tito. Numero uno, the first guy, the genius of it all. He used all of his life savings, ran up credit card debt, all the stuff that my dad told me not to do for my great ideas. And then Tito hit it. He's won awards all over the world with Tito's handmade vodka. Now, he rushed himself up to being America's and the world's favorite vodka, and he still makes it every single day. Back there in Austin, it's still being done, the same land, by hand, where it all started. Tito's handmade vodka is distilled 6 times from 100% corn, naturally gluten-free. Visit us at titosvodka.com for recipes, songs, and Mao. 40% alcohol by volume, handcrafted to be savored. What? Responsibly. Walking past. What was Sugar Ray's other big hits?
Is it the halo hanging every morning?
Oh, every morning there's a halo hanging on my back.
My girlfriend's four-post.
He's got a lot of songs. He's got a lot of songs in this sugar arsenal of his. And my favorite song by Sugar Ray, I'm as free as a bird now.
I did not know that was him.
And Birdman, you'll never change. No, Birdman will never change.
Did it all.
Dan wants to come in and talk about comedies that were torpedoed by the critics when they first came out. It is a hard thing to recognize a comedy when it first happens. I will tell you this. And I saw it in a full theater, and it got no laughs. And later I thought of it as an exceptional comedy. But Anchorman, the people in the theater that I was in, it was just a weird night.
Really?
I myself was like, this is weird. They're acting like the 1970s. He's not being his regular funny guy.
Right.
It took me a while to catch on. Now I love it.
It's very hard, it seems, to predict which ones are going to stay and which ones a year from now.
Well, look, a lot of them that have done very well when they first came out are not thought of classics now. Give me a comedy, and I'll ask you to call in for this. Let me make it through all this list. 866-766-0339. 866-766-0339. And I'm talking about a comedy that your friend said, oh, you've got to see this. It's so funny. And people like, and then you watch it and you're like, what is wrong with me? I'm not getting this. Stanley, for you.
Zoolander. The first time I saw it, I had no idea why people were so infatuated with that movie. Everyone I knew loved it. They couldn't get enough Zoolander. I hated it when I first saw it.
By the way, was not a hit when it came out. They're doing a Zoolander 2.
Yeah.
I think it's called Molander or something. Yeah, what about for you?
First of all, I loved that movie from the get-go.
Now, did you see it in a theater, though, or on TV? Because it's a totally different experience.
I saw it on TV first. I did not see it in the theater.
That's how I saw it.
I saw it on DVD.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you're sitting in the theater going, I'm being punished.
Right.
And you get home and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
Okay, for me, all my friends were saying, this movie is so hilarious, you've got to see it. Never got it to this day. American Pie.
I'm going to agree with that one. I thought it was a little clumsy and felt more like other films that I'd already seen. Now, now they just send them direct to whatever. I was going to say DVD, but I guess it's direct to streaming. Dan has put together a bunch that the critics attacked when it came out. Give me one.
Well, the first one is The Graduate. So that's one that it won all these awards and now is acclaimed as not just a great comedy, but just a great film altogether.
I don't even know if I'd call it a comedy.
Well, right. But
there's some very comedic moments in it.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But there's very comedic moments in Goodfellas.
Sure.
Is that a comedy?
No, I would not say it's a comedy. But that's shocking to me because I would say The Graduate, I would put probably in maybe top 5 favorite films of all time.
Well, first of all, it's got to be top 10 of the greatest movies of all time, whether or not it's even your own personal favorite, just from the things that it broke. But here's what's always weird about The Graduate when I go back and watch it. Not one mention of the Vietnam War. Not one.
Oh, that's
he just gotten out of college. You think that would be his number one concern?
And that was something in reading that some people criticized the film over, was that it's overlooking. There's all this going on right now.
Well, you got to remember,
67.
In 67, people were fired up, but were they fired up in 66? You know what I mean?
Right.
That becomes a thing. Like sometimes just like you see a tipping point with stuff. Some people are like, hey, that's a little complicated and really doesn't have to do with our movie because it was a book.
Right.
Prior to when the Vietnam War happened. Now, not all critics bashed this, but some did.
Some did. The Time magazine said that because Mike Nichols was the second movie he directed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf first, and they said that from that one we thought Mike Nichols might have promise as a director, but after seeing this film, it's clear his success has depleted.
Now, I would say
just
this,
like that, write him off.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf doesn't really stand out for me. I went back and watched it not too long ago, and it's pretty ham-fisted.
Yeah, I saw the movie before I ever read the play, and I actually liked it more when I went back and read it.
This is up on the iBang. What's the title of it, Dan?
It's classic comedy films that got crushed by critics.
That got crushed or panned by critics?
Panned by critics.
All right, panned by critics.
But The Graduate has, I think, one of the funniest scenes of all time when he's trying to check into the hotel. When I was a kid, I remember crying because it had that physical comedy aspect to it.
Sure.
Like he goes to ring the bell and whacks his hand.
You know what? I laughed hard at when I saw as a kid of him just smacking his head on the wall.
Just bang.
That was just so great to me. But you go back and watch other scenes of when he's diving into the bed and he's also diving onto the
pool.
It's just amazing. And then that they reuse the song in Old School. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so iconic now. And how many times have you said to kids when they're graduating college, plastics?
Yeah.
Plastics.
By
the way, if he would have done it, he would have made a fortune. He should have went into plastics.
That would have been a great thing. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I loved the movie Valley Girl. I was obsessed with it. And I actually saw it before The Graduate, and there's a reference to she's trying to hit on her daughter's boyfriend.
Right.
And she's like, plastics, if you know what I mean. And I thought that meant just condoms. So I was like, yes, I do know what she means. She's saying, go get a condom. And then later I was like, oh, I get it.
Maybe that's the advice he was giving Dustin Hoffman.
that's what he actually meant.
Protection with
Carl
Mrs.
and Maine.
Robinson.
Hey, Ronnie, $1,000,000. Gotta be Napoleon Dynamite, the weirdest fucking movie.
I'm going to tell you something. I despised that movie when it came out, and everybody was loving it.
Yeah.
And I actually even take a little bit of pride in the fact that Napoleon Dynamite hasn't had a good career post that.
No, it hasn't held up. But for the 1 or 2 years after, that was everyone was quoting it.
Can we be honest here? Every stupid person was quoting it. Did you have a cool friend who quoted it back to you?
Or a Vote for Pedro t-shirt.
And by the way, he stole that name from Elvis Costello. The term Napoleon Dynamite was a name that Elvis Costello had appeared on stage a couple of times.
Really?
So that also annoys me.
Stolen name? Come on. Yeah, that movie was constantly quoted after it came out.
Ray in Georgia.
I'm thinking Blazing Saddles or even Spaceballs. That was pretty good, but people hated it, but I thought it was fun.
All right, so this is not what we're asking. We're asking what you personally didn't. By the way, Spaceballs means nothing to me. And I saw Mel Brooks not too long ago saying out of all his movies, that's the one people bring up to him most. And I think it's because that movie came out in a time of cable where you'd watch movies over and over.
That's surprising because of all his movies, that's one I would think about some of the least.
Yeah.
I don't know if Blazing Saddles holds up, though. I tried to watch it not too long ago, and I got bored of it.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I remember very much connecting to it.
Yeah.
That's another one that critics didn't like. They called it, they thought it was racist. They said the only people that
First
would
of all,
like
you don't have to think that it's... Excuse me, like, let the host go. You don't have to think that it's racist. It's fucking flat out racist.
Right.
There is literally... race there are times that they drop the N-bomb that never need it.
Right.
And
Not necessary.
And it's really being done from a swinging down point of fucking view.
Right.
Right.
But that one is up on your list. That got blasted.
Yes.
All right, let's go over here to Charlie. Charlie, what's up?
Ronnie B, when This Is Spinal Tap came out, Christopher Guest did not have the following he has now. And I think that when that came out, I didn't get it. And it was more funny for me later just to do the lines with my friends. And then when 10 years later, then everybody was on Christopher Guest. Well, it wasn't kind of special to me anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, there's nothing about this that makes sense to me because I thought it was hysterical first time I saw it. I've watched it a million times and I still go back and find things in it that was funny. But I could totally get how people would have missed this, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because subtle comedy is always a difficult thing. And subtle comedy, if you ever notice, is more by critics than the audience.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Critics will sit around and really the fact that they even, the fact that they'll call some films comedy, like the one where the guy's flying, he never gets out of the fucking plane. It just came out into the air or something.
Up in the air.
Yeah.
And critics loved it. And then people were like, I went to see it because I thought it was a comedy and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Just this douchebag flying around.
And vice versa, critics will despise something that's going to end up being a huge hit because it's completely geared towards college kids or high school kids and it's very broad and it's not really for them.
I will give the critics, it's not for them. It's a really tough thing. It's like if you were a Rolling Stone magazine critic and you've just been listening to, I don't know, Joni Mitchell or Laura Nero and, whoever was making movies and music than Jackson Brown. And then someone hands you Deep Purple, right?
Right.
You're going to be like, what is this you know what I mean? These lyrics are childish. And, you're going to miss the point of the other thing that the music is supposed to do, Not all songs are supposed to put people in a certain... So critics always miss out on heavy metal and then praise punk even more because they were ready
Right.
for that aspect of it. And I think that happens with critics in comedy. If you see some of these guys that have to watch 6-7 movies a week, you can't stay a normal person and be in the theater 7 times a week.
You're just going to end up. You're going to end up loathing movies
Right.
in general. You're just going to be like, well, I hate movies because 90% of them are terrible.
And I feel that way though.
My favorite bad review of Spinal Tap, which got some negative reviews, was from this faith magazine, Spirituality and Practice, which said it was just a mediocre satire of heavy metal bands, which is fine, but it's odd that they even reviewed a movie that has songs like Sex Farm and Big Bottom.
They will review those movies that tell people not to watch, to take their children or what age of children.
Right.
So those things are always fun to go back and read because they stay on top of popular culture.
Yeah.
To warn people, you know.
Well, they always were on top of whatever rock music or rap music used offensive language. It's like they always seem to be way too involved in it.
David, Tennessee.
Hey, hello, Bennington.
Hey.
When I was first getting clean, I watched Super Troopers, and I hated it so much it made me mad. But I recently watched it, and I loved it.
It is a dividing point movie. The people, it's certainly a minority of the people who love that movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a giant hit, but the people who love it obsess over it.
Super Troopers was one where I watched it and I think I didn't love it. And then the more I watched it, it took me some time for it to grow on me.
I haven't got to the more I watched it stage yet. I'm not there. Anthony in Cincinnati.
How's it going, Bennington?
Hey.
My movie I called about was Bridesmaids. I think it came out with a whole lot of hype, and when I first watched it, it just didn't do anything for me. And I've watched it a couple times since then, and it just never really kicks in. It's got a few funny scenes, but it just
What about for you, Gil?
kick in as a whole.
I thought it was hilarious. I loved it right from the get-go.
My cringiest scene, of course, was the shit scene, right? Which I wasn't a fan of. But I saw it in a full theater.
Right.
And people were going fucking ape shit, down to the point where I was like watching people in the theater rather than watching the screen. Because I was seeing people like just clawing at the air, screaming no. I mean, that was one of those scenes that people went crazy for. I thought it was a very, very funny movie, too.
That I never thought. I normally would never like a scene like that. And I was crying laughing. And I think it might be because I was imagining women I knew, friends, or like family members, and like that was killing me.
I read some of the reviews I remember reading that people were upset because they felt like the movie was making fun of Melissa McCarthy.
Yes.
I thought that she was so fucking funny. I thought it was one of the great comedic roles of all time.
She got an Oscar nomination for it.
But to certain people that worry about, hey, are there enough plus size models?
Right.
I have a friend who watched that who was just like, it would have been great, but why can't Melissa McCarthy just be one of the guys? Because it wasn't, she's fucking funnier than one of the guys. If you had the chance to be the funny one or the pretty one, pick the fucking funny one every single time. She was a killer in that. And that my favorite thing is my favorite thing in the world, if someone can pull off clueless confidence, right? To just be totally wrong and stupid, but
just selling it.
Feel so good about it. I would give them all a Riggle Award. Just hand out the Rob Riggle statue to people that can pull that out. Give me another one on your list.
Ghostbusters was one that got a lot of positive reviews, but then some negative also. And the funny thing about it was the negative reviews were very contradictory. Like one of them said that, a huge mistake they made is that the three actors have no chemistry together. And another review said, the actors have such great chemistry. Why aren't they in more scenes together? And then one from the New York Times said that nothing about it was good except the ghosts were very winning, especially the hungry green one. So in her mind, the movie should have been all green hungry ghosts.
Well, I like Ghostbusters. I probably don't like it on the level that the rest of the world does. I found the ghost part, a little cheesy. But, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, you can't really. Can't go wrong with those guys.
You can't go wrong. I mean, it's going to be a funny movie. You're not going to get around it.
Don't even worry about the ghost.
Here's Sean. Sean.
What's up, Bennington?
Yeah.
I got to go with Talladega Nights. I hated that movie when it came out. And I just recently watched it. I liked it a lot, but I couldn't get through it at first.
Yeah, this is weird for me. I'm almost the opposite of him. I was crying the first time I watched it. And then the next time I watched it, I was like, what? I guess it's good. I still like it, but I don't know what caught me that day, the first day I saw it.
Those kind of silly comedies, it really depends on your mood. Like, if you watch something like that at 2 a.m. when you're really tired or something like that, or if you just have to be ready for it.
Here is Doug in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the one that, I have two of them, but the one that comes to my mind is one that I didn't watch for a long time because everybody said, that's stupid. And I finally rented Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And, I rented it at one of those, when that was still in, to rent it at a place. And I sat there and I laughed so hard. I still think one of the funniest scenes in the history of comedy is when they pass between the two trucks and
unbelievable. I will agree 100%. That is so fucking funny. Then he just sees him as the devil. But even leading up to that, where he's doing the mess around. And look, that is, Melissa McCarthy's role was literally in that John Candy, you love him, hate him type of guy, which again makes me mad that why can't a woman have that thing? But John Candy in that movie, from a guy who can make you laugh so hard, and then you're kind of choked up at a couple of points. Yeah. That woman is gone and he doesn't have any place to go.
A train station.
And I finally get around to like Steve Martin, good dude, you're bringing him home to your lovely, weird fucking family.
Fucking perfect house, right?
It's just so perfect that it makes me itch. Everything about you is weird. But that movie is really an old-fashioned physical comedy. But there is so much fucking heart to that movie that works. I loved it from Ace, and I'm still crazy about it.
It's an old-fashioned physical comedy, but I feel like if that movie came out today, I think it would still be beloved.
Oh, I think it. Yeah. First of all, when I say old-fashioned, I mean I'm not saying it reminds me of the '80s. It reminds me of the '30s.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's a really old thing, and you've got. I mean, you had two great physical comedians working in a different. Working in different quadrants of that to make it work. But it also works on all the levels. It's just great. Here's John in Canada. Hey, John.
Hey, Bennington. What's going on?
Yeah. What's up?
Hudsucker Proxy. When it first came out, I didn't like it. And I saw it again recently. And the scene where the kids come running around the corner and they see Tim Robbins with the hula hoop.
Yeah.
Kills me every time now.
Well, they don't see Tim Robbins with a hula hoop. That's what I don't understand. They just see the store.
Yeah, and they go
Tim
running.
Robbins isn't there. It might have been why you didn't like it at first. You want more Tim Robbins. My favorite scene of that is when they just go through them laughing because they're so successful. But I get why people are thrown off at first when they see the Coen brothers. But these films work on so many different levels that the more you watch it, the more appreciation that you have for it.
When they set out to make a comedy, I think they just say, well, let's just make every line funny, and that's how we'll go from there. Like, almost to me, like, their method is just everything's hilarious.
Yeah, and then later you're like, hey, this is even funnier than I thought. And then there's a part of me always going, how do they fucking do this? How is this so visually stunning? If you look back at that thing and see how many times circles where squares or triangles are used in that movie. You're like, where are you doing that and writing that dialogue?
Right.
It's crazy.
And doing these weird physical comedy things. It's just great. Give me another one of your films.
We got Caddyshack, which is one that many did not like.
Well, that kind of goes to the same idea I was saying. I feel like that's a kind of broad comedy. It was probably for a certain age group.
Yes.
And it's not going to be for critics. It's not going to be...
It's a dumb comedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it actually is beloved probably more than it deserves. You know what I mean? Because again, if you're there and you're an adult and you're like, why do they keep going back to the puppet thing? Why does that matter?
Right.
And really, we care who wins the golf tournament.
Right.
And but all the things that work in that film are jokes. You know what I mean?
Right.
The jokes work more than have you put together a film.
And I think it's so interesting. We've talked about this before that Bill Murray is like constantly, that's one of his biggest roles that get brought up. And it's not even close to his best
No, it's not even
performance.
as close to his best stuff.
Well, the funny thing with the Caddyshack, some of the reviews like this, because it was 2 years after Animal House, and a couple of the reviewers said, well, this is just a cheap version of Animal House. This one guy, Dave Kerr from the Chicago Reader, like, this is Animal House for children. This is garbage. And so I was like, all right, well, what did he think of Animal House? And you look it up, and he's like, Animal House is just snobbery and just meanness, and this is just a junk movie. So you're just like, to criticize one thing.
Well, I will tell you this about Animal House. People would be outraged today of Belushi's creep shit with women. You know?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Looking at women,
Yeah.
looking up their dresses. They're like, what are we setting up, a rape? You know what I mean?
So your main character's a rapist.
It definitely is just
It doesn't read.
out of its timeline.
At the end, when he just grabs the chick, people would be freaked out.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
about him.
Everything he does.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, if you look at it, and they didn't give a fuck that they fucked up the kid's car.
Right.
They
You know
killed
what I
the
mean?
horse.
Yeah, they're just. But I still have hate for the bad frat. I mean, there's something in my life. I think that people, they remind me that they're from the bad frat in fucking Animal House over and over. And that's what gets you into punching down. Like when comedians that are, like Fox News comedians always come off sounding like the bad frat in Animal House.
Exactly.
Trying to take the Indian kid and the blind kid all into the geek room while they talk about, now there's a lot of outstanding guys who come here. So, like, you're always like, I don't want to be in the bad frat.
Yeah,
I want to be in Animal House.
Because you always, I think everybody has that experience of kids they grew up with where there's like the group of like jock kids, but there's always like the funny one of the jock kids. And you're like, no, he isn't funny. He's an asshole. And you guys just like that he's mean.
Right.
Like he's the funny one. This guy's hilarious.
This is the guy that he shit and the cheerleader. Oh, yeah, okay. Shitting, that's funny stuff.
He got her.
James, North Carolina.
Hey guys, embarrassed to say it now, but first time I ever saw Three Amigos, I had the hardest time watching. I thought
We are the Three Amigos.
yeah, but it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you know that movie didn't do well at the box office.
It's got to be one of my favorite comedies of all time.
It's Marty Short stole the fucking movie.
He's
man.
actually incredible in it. He might have the funniest performance of the three of them.
Well, my
That's pretty
favorite
crazy.
thing is when he's telling the kids about who.
Right.
These little.
She looked at me and she said, "Kid, you have got it."
And whose sister was it? It was like some.
Yeah, it was like some old time actress's sister. Oh, I think it was Lillian Gish. Lillian Gish walks in, and I was shocked.
I just thought it to these impoverished third world children, and then the bartender, the Mexican, my little buttercup, just such funny shit in that. Randy Newman's songs, amazing, but everybody missed out on it.
Yeah,
everybody did. Is that part of your list, Three Amigos?
No, Three Amigos is not on it.
Give me another one off your list that critics panned.
Take the Money and Run, which was Woody Allen's first movie that he wrote, directed, and starred in, which, to me, that's his funniest comedy. But I think critics, they didn't quite know what to, because he hadn't made movies yet. So they're like, I don't know if this guy belongs making movies.
Well, it was a series of sketches, right?
Yeah, it's a bunch of series of sketches.
Yeah.
So
I went back and watched, what was it the other day? Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex, and it was still not. He wasn't putting these things together as an actual film yet.
No, he hadn't reached like Annie Hall, Manhattan kind of level.
Right.
But some of the like Roger Ebert was just like giving him tips on some of the scenes of like Woody could have made the scene funnier. Like maybe if the cameraman had fallen in a lake at some point, or if the two couples had
That's
maybe
always helpful.
walked into a tree.
Thanks.
So it's just like you're giving
Thanks
tips
for
to this
fixing
guy.
But that's a movie that I would have thought critics would have been behind, but it would have taken audiences a little longer to like
Catch
get
up.
hip to it.
See, the thing about Woody is he just keeps moving so fast. It doesn't matter what happens. By the time a bad review comes out, he's already done the next movie. It's already in the can. Harper in Atlanta.
Hey, man, you guys this is such a good show.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a film professor, so I could talk for hours and hours about this, but my suggestion or my call-in is Dr. Strangelove. It's so brilliant on so many levels, and what's funnier in 1964 than nuclear war and Nazis?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was another one of those things that they try to take credit away from Terry Southern for, which always bothers me throughout the years when people are like, Terry Southern didn't really. Shut up. I know that he did. He could be at so many great places. But that film is incredibly funny, but so stunningly beautiful, too.
Yeah, it is.
Gosh. Absolutely. Kubrick sort of raised money by shooting the stuff that's on the base that looks like kind of war documentary photography. That's what he used to show the backers and said, this is the kind of war movie I'm making, and then was secretly doing the other thing with Peter Sellers.
Now, since you'll know this since you teach, was Lolita supposed to be a comedy?
No, it was not. And that was one of Kubrick's, sort of great disappointment. That is it black comedy? Sure, but Nabokov's book is black comedy.
Right.
He wanted everyone, James Mason, Peter Sellers, Sue Lyons, he wanted everyone to play it straight and let the author shine, but don't, put on some sort of ham-fisted, kind of cheeky performance.
Then he never should have showed Sellers dancing, because that is purely one of my favorite scenes in movies. Thanks so much. Way to get together and talk sometime, Harper. We'll do some film talk every once in a while.
All right. Great show. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Talking about movies that your kind of friends got at first, you didn't. Sometimes it takes years for films to work. And some films that were really big comedies get forgotten, and the little Christopher Guest films seems to last forever. But it doesn't seem like they have much interest in making these anymore. I think it's probably so hard to raise the money to see it put out and then not, crack the top 10.
And then be like, in 10 years, though, people are really going to appreciate this. It's not an easy sell for yourself. But then you're right. There's tons of movies that were big at the time. Everyone's going to see them, and they probably did really well in the box office, but then they never get brought up again. Like, for me, another one would be Road Trip. Like, everyone was saying, you got to go see Road Trip.
I even forgot about it.
And it was... But nobody talks about that like it's like one of the best.
It's a great Tom Green vehicle. What are you talking about?
Was there a sequel to that one? They did another one, right? It was
Another Road Trip.
Direct to
Euro Trip was the sequel where they go to Europe.
Chris, I know your favorite movie of all time, Saving Silverman.
This movie, everyone I knew was like, you gotta watch Saving Silverman. It's the shit. It's hysterical. Okay, I'll watch Saving Silverman, sure. I had no idea what I was watching.
Again, it's very mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
really mean. It's
really
dark.
misogynistic.
Yes.
But I think that the Neil Diamond shit is hilarious.
Well, that's the weird
Dudes that are
thing.
just totally into Neil Diamond is my favorite thing in the world.
That's the only part of that movie I like. I will watch it just for the, come on, oh yeah, whole stuff.
By the way, The Saving Silverman guy, the Jewish guy, is terrible in everything. He's had a long run of a career.
Right.
He was one of the American Pie guys.
He's like the main character of American Pie.
He did the bad Woody Allen movie.
Right.
Ugh. I don't know what his name. I guess it's
Biggs.
Silverman.
Jason Biggs.
Big Z Silverman is what they call him. Give us another one that the critics smash.
Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is one that
I think it's genius.
Yeah, that's again shocking to me because it seems like if you think about movies and then you go and see that movie, how could you not be like, whoa, I'm totally blown away by how smart and funny both this movie is.
Matter of fact, most of us could use a Groundhog's Day in our life to make us better people. But also, beyond that, that film didn't even need to be a comedy to work.
Yeah.
That could have worked as a straight
just dark
drama.
Dark drama.
I think the script, the Writers Guild of America named it one of the greatest film scripts ever written.
Right.
And then Variety said it was inconsistent. Entertainment Weekly said it lacked an ingenious structure like Back to the Future had. And the Washington Post said, one thing I can guarantee, this film will never be preserved by the Library of Congress. And then 2006, it was preserved by the Library of Congress, which is kind of a weird bold.
It is it's a weird thing to even bring up.
Yeah, and they guaranteed it.
All right, let's go over here to... This is... I'm weird shit with this computer today. This is Chris in Pennsylvania, so they put his name up as Chris Penn.
Oh.
How you doing, cousins?
Good, man.
Great show.
Yeah,
hey,
it is.
it's a movie that I didn't get it first. I actually didn't like it when I was younger, and then I just watched it maybe a few months ago, and I've watched it 6 times since, is The Big Lebowski. Love it.
Well, first of all, I loved it when it came out. Still love it.
Yeah.
But I will admit, the dude bro thing of absolute just worship of it has annoyed me a little bit.
The Lebowski Fest thing, where now it's happening constantly.
And beyond. Just every time you meet a stupid guy, and they'd be like, "You ever see Lebowski?" Yeah, I have.
There were too many people I went to college with who would have that poster on their wall who I didn't like them, that would seep into.
And it's unfortunate because you want them to have success. Like, the Coen brothers deserve
Of course,
that kind of success, and yet you still have that feeling of, like, I'm so annoyed.
But also, there's nothing dude bro about the comedy.
Yeah, why? Why was it embraced?
Fucking leftist. It's like Barry Crimmins if he smoked pot and wore a fucking robe.
Yeah, but those dudes who get obsessed with it, they just see a guy. They don't see the film for what they just see a dude who gets high and drinks all day long. That's all. I think that's all they get out of it.
But they're not guys who get high and drink all day long. They fucking work on Wall Street.
I don't
and then
know.
they're like, Lebowski time. The same way that they love Buffett. And you're like, oh, do you ride around the fucking Caribbean on a sailboat? No, but I got this shark hat and I'm wearing it to Buffett show. Hey, dude, they're running down Buffett. That's fucking bullshit. Cross the line.
Dude, I missed you.
Where we been? Just here to represent Big Lebowski. Did you see the part where he's smoking the weed?
It's great.
I'm back on Lebowski because Puke did it.
Yeah, man. He smokes weed and drinks white raw shits. Although, what happened in that movie? What happened to that girl's toe? All right, give me another one off your list.
Those are the films on the list. We hit all 9, but there's this thing that I wish they would do. They do with all movies now, but I wish they would focus with comedies. Is every year they do a 2020 awards, which they've done for, I think this was the 6th year they did it. So they go back and they look at all the movies that were released 20 years ago, and a week before the Oscars, they give awards from like 95 for 2015, and they see what would have changed over time. So like 91, like Dances with Wolves won. So they went back and they're like, hey, maybe Goodfellas should have won instead of that.
Right. So you're thinking that would work for comedy?
I think that would be a cool thing to do for comedy, because as we've talked about, a lot of them change over time in terms of what we think are good and then what hold up.
Well, since they really don't give out comedy awards,
I know.
There's no way of knowing. Yeah.
Right.
Because it's the easiest thing to do. Buddy in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Yeah, hey, Mr. B, Ms. B, and Chris. A movie that I hated so much because it was on cable all the time. Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Love it.
Oh, love.
Yeah, now it's, it was based on a germ of truth, and, with the laser and whatnot. That's just it.
The fucking lasers came real. They became real.
Yeah.
Rick.
Hey, Bennington family, how are we today?
Good, man.
Hey, there was a movie back in the 80s that I saw, got drugged to at the movie theater, thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Then I got it on VHS, and I couldn't stop watching it. Johnny Dangerously.
Not a fan.
I've never seen it.
Never dug. Never liked. A lot of people do that one line from the movie. My mom said that to me once. I'm just like, stop it.
Don't like it.
Ted, South Dakota.
About 20 years ago, I saw Smokey and the Bandit and hated it. Watched it again 6 months or so ago, and I split aside at Jackie Gleason's performance in that movie. It's so fantastic, and his timing is perfect in every scene that he's in. It's just, I hated that movie.
Well,
and now I can't stop watching it.
That movie came out, and it was kind of it's an arrogant kind of movie because it's about the time that he just started to put his buddies in he became Adam Sandler.
Right.
And, Burt Reynolds is, at his core, is a really interesting character, good actor. But you just see him just giving away on this Southern charm thing. And he got like a 5 or 6 year run of just him and his buddies doing stuff where he was the number one actor in the world. And then that was what started the outtakes things, right?
Yeah.
And they just all thought that they were so adorable, right?
Yeah.
That at the end of that, people just turned on him and he never really made any real movies again after that. Because it just came across as lazy. And yet there is something about a guy, running around being chased by the police and not caring, laughing about it. I mean, they basically the Dukes of Hazzard stole the whole Burt Reynolds thing, Because really, if you're in a high-speed chase and the cops are after you, you're fucking freaking out.
Yeah. Usually.
There's no confidence and you're reaching in the back for a lighter.
You're driving towards death and jail. One or the other.
One or the other.
But the first time I saw that, I was watching and I couldn't wait. They're really gonna they're transporting beer across. This is what this movie's about. This is fantastic, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a silly movie. It's a ridiculous premise.
Here's Ryan. Ryan,
I was thinking when Kingpin first came out, that Kingpin, I couldn't really stand that movie, but coming from a guy who's got a really strong relationship with his father, I thought that it kind of intertwined the two, the comedy and the relationship with the father. I thought that was pretty cool. And now I actually watch it.
What?
No, the Woody Harrelson.
What father?
He wasn't a father to anyone.
Whose father?
Who do you think his father is? Bill Murray?
No, his father died in the movie.
I can't remember that. I only fast forward to the Bill Murray parts.
Yeah.
And I'm not even making that up. I can't really stand anything but the Bill Murray parts, and then I die.
My experience with it. I didn't like it until Bill Murray showed up.
And
that's
then
a little too
scream.
Yeah, then it's amazing.
That was how I felt the first time I saw Best in Show as a kid. I wasn't into it until Fred Willard showed up. And rewatching it, I love the whole movie, but still Fred Willard just stands out as the announcer at the dog show as just the fucking highlight.
For me, I just think every one of those guys knocks it out of the park.
No, rewatching it, I love all of it. But in first seeing it, it was like for Fred Willard just hit that for me when the rest of it I didn't get.
I like Fred Willard, but he is a sore thumb in every Christopher Guest movie because he doesn't work subtle.
Right, he's very broad.
I mean, he's just doing gags.
Yeah.
No matter what the character is, it's straight gags, and you see the rest of them are really trying to do these layered performances.
Very subtle in some cases.
What was the last film that the Guest crew did? It was the one where they made fun of independent film. It didn't do well at all.
Yeah, it was For Your Consideration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I went to see that opening for that up at Lincoln Center. And the crew came out to do a Q&A after. And all of them together were going after less jokes than any people.
Really?
Any talented people. They just sat there and they all were all mimicking Christopher Guest, who's like notoriously not a extroverted guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're all like this. Yeah. That's what we do when we get together. It sounded like a bunch of people doing NPR, and they're like, well, I get the call from Chris, and there's just a happy feeling of knowing that, and then we all try to race off as quick as we can to wardrobe, and we fight over the hair and teeth. All of us like funny hair and
oh my God,
funny teeth. And even people that I've met and I know
are funny
will push it out there and go for it, but they all get together and it's a different kind of thing.
That's strange. Especially considering I would think Parker Posey would not be like that, and Catherine O'Hara, who I would imagine would be like this huge personality.
They're like this. They're just hugging themselves with the chill. And they're like, such a blessing. Such a blessing to get a role like this, and
they're covering their mouths.
Just to wake up in the morning and see a Fred Willard having his morning coffee. He's always got something. And by the way, Fred Willard wasn't there because I'm sure he would have went for the gag. But one time, it had to be like 12, 13 years ago. I was walking down 57th Street and I see Fred Willard coming the other way and he's just talking away. I'm like, oh, Fred Willard's shooting something, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking around and he wasn't shooting anything.
Oh, boy.
He was just fucking, he didn't have an earpiece in, nothing. This was like a this was a hey, are they crazy or talking on the telephone game? And it was just, he was just talking away, like a lot of people do in New York.
Yeah.
You will see people in New York just feel free to just start talking like they're in their car.
It's not just like homeless people or crazy people. Most people are walking down the street in full conversations with themselves.
I saw a woman on her phone the other day, and she was screaming into her phone. I'm going to guess at her boyfriend. You don't understand. I can't handle this humidity. It's like, fucking grow up, bitch. We're all in it.
No, but she's special. She really can't handle it.
I can't stand the planet Earth.
She needs a dry heat.
What's he saying on the other? Just go inside. You can go inside.
At that point, I get the call from Chris, and it's so exciting to know that we're all going to be working together again. Creating comedy
with the air conditioning.
So great.
It's so much fun to make a classic thing like this. We all learned instruments, all of us. And then off we went to town hall. We did a live concert. We just like, shut up and put the movie on where you're actually funny. I have a question. Do any of you guys go for the joke? Do you just think I want to just fucking put an electric shock up this audience's ass and just fucking rip one for them? Interesting question. Kevin in Pittsburgh.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. The first Arthur movie with Dudley Moore. I used to hate it. Now I love it. I think it's hilarious. And also, is Chris Stanley still giving away those free hand jobs?
Yeah, always got a free handy for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I remember I showed Arthur to you and your brother, and you guys weren't crazy about it.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you're not at the right age for something where it didn't. I just remember not.
It just doesn't hold up. It's not thought of as one of the great comedies anymore.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was. All the Dudley Moore stuff seems to have been pushed down by history.
Yeah, that's true. You don't. I feel like he doesn't get talked about in that same way that like a couple of his contemporary
Yeah, we could actually do a thing the next time that we do this with comedies, that we'll do a hold up or doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
because it isn't the fault of the comedy. I mean, you can see it in any stand-up. Just
Right.
you know, it just gets dustier and dustier
And
as
that's
the
the
years go by.
smart thing to do with humor as well. Obviously, you're going to want to connect with something that's present and current.
Right.
Like that would be your instinct. If
no one says I'm going to make a comedy for the ages.
Yeah, if you're having a funny conversation with your friends, you're going to talk about what's going on in the world or what's connected. So it makes sense that they kind of tend to
The
fade out.
Arthur one is an interesting one because I feel like people it got, renewed buzz when they remade it and people didn't like that. And they're like, the original was way better. So that seems to
Right.
be an interesting thing that if they remake something bad, then people are going to go back. And even if they didn't appreciate the first one, they'll be like,
Right.
hey, the first one was better.
Well, look, the second one was just a Russell Brand movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there wasn't anything genius in Arthur. That was a Dudley Moore movie. So it
Right.
was a showcasing for him. The other one was a showcase for Russell Brand.
And was the plot similar?
Yeah, it was similar, but not exact. And, it wasn't as caught up in, the same kind of. I mean, the first Arthur there's just bizarre plot holes in that thing.
Right.
This just doesn't happen. Like the essential thing of two families marrying in America to keep their money together as if it was an old European
It's not
kingdom
really the
thing.
thing.
It doesn't
exist.
never come down.
But I guess that's another thing. Those ones that are just vehicles for a certain personality, you couldn't really remake. Like Back to School is one that's just Rodney. That's,
Right. All right,
that's putting Rodney in a funny situation.
Let's do a couple of these though. Beverly Hills Cop, is the movie good or is it just a vehicle for Eddie Murphy?
I feel like that's Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I would
It's
agree
a
with
straight
that.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that's.
And yet everybody was taking all this credit, the screenwriter, the
Right.
director.
Yeah.
But basically it's just Eddie Murphy walking around, being Eddie Murphy.
Right.
So how many comedies are really just that? And this is why critics bash them. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, you look back and some of these things are just for a collection of jokes, nothing else.
Right.
Not for a film at all.
Particularly when it's a comedian who's playing something that's similar to themselves
Their persona.
anyway.
Yeah.
The Jerk,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, The Jerk was so incredibly popular, you wouldn't believe it at the time. Because finally, everyone would say, look, we love this stand-up. Here's a chance to just show this with money.
Right.
We'll give the money over. We'll go see The Jerk. But you watch that, and you're like, if you showed that to somebody who wasn't familiar with
Right.
Steve Martin, they're like, why is he mentally ill?
What's wrong with him?
Is he a child that doesn't understand sex and
He's sick, right?
travel? Let's go over to Cody. Cody, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, what's up, guys? A movie I couldn't even watch the first time. Halfway through it, turned it off. Watched it about 2 months ago, and just could not believe how fucking funny it was. Was Wet Hot American Summer,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
everyone
goddamn
in the
funny.
world is in it. And before anything, it killed me when I watched it recently.
So everyone's going back and judging themselves rather than saying,
Right.
this is a
Right.
bad movie.
They're like,
and everybody
They all
was
realize
I
wrong.
was
they're wrong.
wrong.
Yeah.
God damn it, I was
They're
wrong.
atoning.
Blaine. Blaine. Lost you. Malcolm in Louisiana.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Good. Night Shift. Ron Howard, our early movie. I don't know if it was his first movie, but one of his early movies. And Michael Keaton, one of his first movies, if not his first movie. The first time I saw it, didn't really understand it, didn't know what to make of it, but now I've seen it a number of times. I laugh my tail off every
Well,
time.
it was a big hit at the time, and it made Birdman just a huge star. He was on his way after that. So it was all you. I think it's funny just to go back, look at Times Square, and go, why did anyone go there? You know what I mean? Like, there weren't even that many lights in that movie. And I always like any New York movie where they shut the door and they have 8, locks, and then they put that bar thing up
Right.
against
In the middle,
it.
right?
And you're like, Oh, are they doing a parody of New York? No, that's the actual door. That when you laid down at night, you were worried someone was going to kill you.
Bars on every window.
Yeah.
It was just terrible.
I always thought would be a fun New York movie is if you had to incorporate almost everything that's happened in every other movie set in New York. So you'd have like giant ghosts running around and, like Godzilla on the loose, and there'd be like 30 Woody Allens all just running free, and you had to have all that in the background while you did whatever plot you wanted to do.
Well, you're going to get to make that movie one day. I see that happening.
Oh, thank you, man.
That'll definitely happen. Kyle, go ahead. Kyle in California.
Hey, guys. I thought Ace Ventura was the weirdest movie I'd ever seen, and I didn't get it. It was kind of the same thing you were talking about, Ron, about Anchorman. It was a weird night in the theater or whatever, and I saw it again when it came out on video and thought it was the funniest movie. Thought Jim Carrey stole.
Well, there's not another human being that could have made that movie a hit. I mean, it is
it's kind of like we were talking before. It wasn't that he was playing his own persona, but it was a character that only he could have played.
Only him.
Yes.
No one else could have done that.
Why would they?
From what I heard, that thing had gone around town to like every funny person, right? And everyone was like, "No,
what does that even mean?
Why would I just only be a detective for pets? And why would I say no? Spank you to someone."
I was obsessed with that as a kid.
Alrighty then. Well, those were the things that I could watch with you and your brother when you were kids, and just see you guys just fucking cry laughing.
Yeah.
So that would be like the perfect movie.
And when the sequel came out, it was one of those things like, it can't possibly be good. And I was like, I still love it. This is still good.
I know. I think that one got wrapped by critics too. Like, what are they doing now? But getting pretty hot in these rhinos. All right, we've got to break. There are pictures of Big Jay up on the internet throwing up into a bucket after drinking wine last night. So is he in the building? Do we know whether he's able to make it?
He's in the building.
Great. We'll break. Be right back with Big Jay Oakerson. Bennington. The Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington. Coming in as one of my favorite people in the world. Beautiful new haircuts.
He likes?
But gave me a kiss and smelled like puke. It's Big Jay Oakerson. How are you?
I'm doing well.
First of all, your hair looks amazing.
It looks great.
Thank you.
You've taken 22 years off your life.
Everyone says I look younger, yeah.
Yeah.
I was scared to do it. Very scary.
Why did you do it?
I just kept it up in a bun all the time, and then about 4 people recently called it a ponytail, and I don't know why that bothered me so much.
Why turn your back on metal, though?
It's a Metallica 96, right? It's when we turn it all around.
Yeah. What's up with you these days?
Just staying busy. I'm on the road a ton.
I know. All the time
great.
I'm hearing you're in this town, you're in that town.
Yeah, moving and shaking.
Your podcast is now been picked up by a major network.
That's right, yeah. Cumia, AnthonyCumia.com. It's been fantastic. We go out to his house and he really opens it all up. He really, that place is great, but I really do always get the vibe of like the scene in Boogie Nights.
Sure.
When everyone's waiting. Yeah, you know.
There's going to be some helter-skelter thing going on.
Yeah.
I told him about it. The whole thing just feels that way. But I'm glad you're wearing camouflage. I guess you were just out shooting with him. You guys are... Man, I guess there's an uprising, Ferguson or something, that's got you guys all upset.
You never know when we're going to have to like hold down the compound.
Motherfucker! It's beautiful, man!
This is our right to rebel against the government.
You know, one day when they start, just rounding up people, you'll be in on it now.
Yeah, that's
well,
it.
You got you and the Vice guy, right? And the Vice guy is also
Gavin McInnes. Yeah,
yeah. White people first. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
The name of the show.
They got to put some token black person on there somewhere. We're trying to bring the first black person ever to the compound this year. It's going to be a big step. It's going to be a big step forward.
Well, it's got to be someone famous, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, it probably.
I know he's got that black friend. Anthony has that black friend who comes out and agrees with him. I can't think of his name.
That one, he has one black friend who comes out and just
I tried
agrees?
to get him and Earl to debate because Earl is a guy who used to work with us who's black, and he and Anthony just totally disagree 100% on everything.
We had a poster.
Yeah. Ant would kill him in a debate, which would make me laugh, because I'm friends with him, with Earl, and just to see him get just chopped up to pieces by somebody who's just too funny and too fast, that would bring me joy. It wouldn't help anything, of course.
Right.
Were they debating race issues?
I hope any issues, But yeah, look, we had a great poster drawn up of both of them, and Ant's just not interested. So you're doing that, and I guess you're not talking about your other gig yet, right? That's still under wraps.
No, I think we could absolutely. I've announced it on a few things.
Oh,
so
you
I
have?
think,
So
yeah.
go ahead and say it here.
We don't have an official name yet, but we have a working title so far. But yeah, me and Soda are going to be starting on Comedy Central Radio, I believe, in mid-July.
Cool.
Wow.
We don't have an official start date, but the
how many
contract
days a week is that?
It's going to start at 2.
All right, so you're doing 2 days a week there.
Yeah.
2 days a week on the Anthony thing. Where does the road going to come into this now?
I also have the SDR show podcast I do is also on Mondays. I really heavily front loaded my week where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is pretty busy, and then it opens up to do the road still.
Right.
Yeah. And also nothing interferes with doing nighttime comedy in the city, which is nice. All the timing works out absolutely. Yeah, but the road's been tough though. For as much as I want to do it, I do it back to back. When I did Bonnaroo and came home for hours and then went to Chicago afterwards, which is I guess a dumb complaint, but it really is taxing on my weird body.
This is why people who do the road die early. You know what I mean? Guys who are what killed them? The road killed them. That's what happened to them.
In a hotel with a B12 shot in my arm.
Yeah. The Last Waltz was all about how the road will kill you. And then all those guys died. The guys that went back out on the road.
Figured it out? Ralphie May. Well, he figured this part of it out. As far as the travel, he just bought a tour bus.
I think it's smart, too.
That's the move. We went on it in Bonnaroo for a little bit, and I was just so I was as envious of that as I am of Anthony's house, where I just kind of looked at it, I'm this is great. I would so much rather just go to sleep and wake up in that town.
Comedy Central has given people tour buses and said, here.
Know. Yeah.
You work for them now.
And here's a big picture of your face on the side of it. I did that with Attell at the height of Insomniac.
Yeah.
I did a tour with him, and we had a big bus that was shrunk wrap with his face, and just driving through. Anytime we went through normal towns, people running out of their house, so excited at that. But there's always, the funny part was, it's got a very bitter looking face of him on the thing. He's smoking a cigarette and kind of looking angry. And then all my memories of talking to him outside the bus are him standing in front of that picture making the same actual face. I was just so unimpressed with the whole situation. I'm man, you're on tour and a tour bus with your face on. He's yeah. Yeah, there it was. He had that same exact face on.
That is I should have gotten more tour. That everyone knows is true.
He thinks every show goes bad. He thinks every audience hates him. That's why he's great.
Well, the last time, and I haven't seen him since Thanksgiving, but during the commercials, he was editing the show with me. He would just come over and go, yeah, we should get rid of that early part when those guys start talking about sports. Nobody wants to hear that shit. And I would just agree to everything. I'm yeah, we're taking that out, Dave.
Don't worry about it.
He knew that it wasn't live and that we were taping it. And he was thinking that any part that just wasn't absolutely killing was fucking worthless.
For a guy who operates so flawlessly too, he really is big on the editing process. I remember with his special and the underground show, his editing you'd see him sometimes you're gonna be at the Cellar tonight. He's I've been editing all day. It's why? Just
everything.
Put it out.
Everything that he said to me was right. It's just that I'm yeah, but we do radio, so just put it out there. Just let it die. Let people turn off the show.
Give someone a chance to get back to work.
Yeah,
that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, go talk to your family. Do something else. So why were you puking last night? What the hell was happening? There's pictures up.
Yeah.
And this is not you. This is...
It's not. Well, it's me. That is definitely me.
This isn't the Big J.
Oh, can you turn to me a little more? I haven't seen the back of this haircut.
Yeah, it's really
good.
It.
I like
looks really good.
I even puking.
It looks like the guy got bored in the back, though. If I'm going to be totally honest. It's starting to look cancer patient when you get to the back. I like the front, the dead on. It's perfect. Yeah.
I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. This new look. It's been 10 years of that long hair.
Haircut. What else is there work on? What are you going to start doing? Wearing
you got to
vests?
let it grow in for a week or two and then see how it looks then.
When did you get it cut?
About 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah. Did you take in a picture of Chris Stanley and say, just do this to me?
Give me the Stanley.
Give me the Stanley.
Stanley, I hate that your hair's growing back in. He had the worst haircut a little while ago that was just straight poof.
I miss the poof so much.
Take the headphones off. Let's get a full air shot of that.
There you go.
How's Yeah, that it look? was-
Just rub your fingers through it.
Yeah, at first it was just the front. Was just at like a very
It was rockabilly. It was very rockabilly.
It was like very Brian dry. Setzer.
Yeah,
A
Brian
dry
Setzer.
pompadour.
Crazy rockabilly.
You know, it's funny. You have the same thing as me. You have great long hair. I remember you with long hair, and I had good long hair, and it like, lays nice in there. But my short hair is very dry and poofy. Like I have to put a bunch of shit in it.
You honestly look like you're going in front of a judge. You know what
Right
I mean?
now?
It's like, yeah, you're like
clean cut.
I don't know why they said I beat up those guys. Look at this hair; it's very short.
Just a guy who works in an Army Navy store.
That's
and,
it. I mean, I don't know where this came from. I mean, if I could apologize to everybody and just drop it at that, I'd love to.
Your Honor, I assure you, he had long hair last week.
Everybody like from motorcycle gangs to Motley Crue does that suit with the hair pulled back.
Oh yeah,
Right.
It's like as if a judge is stupid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like a good Michael Madsen look or something.
This tie will fool him into giving me mercy.
Oh, you're just a Corvette salesman from 1985. Got it. Now I see that ponytail. I got it.
Hey, Justin in Montreal.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hey, man.
Hey, yeah, so I got a story about Big J and Patrice O'Neal.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if, Big J will probably remember this, but this is, he was doing the Nasty Show like, 10, 12 years ago, I'd say, with Patrice, and this is like my first summer job. I was like 15 years old. I was handing out flyers one night. It was like the Friday show, and I see my best friend's mom and this girl who I had a crush on her mom. Now, both these women are like recently divorced, good-looking women, but like one of them is like a gargantuan, like a real like Amazon type woman.
You remember this?
Bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Patrice was oddly intrigued by this female bodybuilder. It's the first woman I've ever seen. It looks like she could beat him up, and I think it turned him on for some reason. He didn't even like white girls, but he really gave this girl some time of conversation.
Yeah.
I think through conversation he decided he's like, yeah, I think I kind of like it. But she was muscular.
Yeah.
I mean, real jacked.
Yeah, and so I tried to like wingman these guys, but they just like completely ignored me, and I saw a level of game that like I had never seen. It was like truly awe-inspiring. And then these guys get them front row seats, get them backstage, and like I never found out what happened until like I ran into Big Jay a few months ago when he was in Montreal. And I don't know if you want to tell your part of the story, Jay, but I'll tell mine
You guys
after.
are your team now. That's the way it works.
I guess they didn't end up hooking up with these ladies, which would explain why.
I wasn't even in the conversation of hooking up with them. That was Patrice trying to talk to two 40-something-year-olds and one that had arms like a.
She looked like she was in heavy metal, like the old cartoon. Anyway, but so it was the next day. Like when I saw Patrice, I was coming back from a run. I was taking off my rollerblades, and I went up to him, and I was just like, "Yo, Patrice, did you hook up with those Cougars last night?" And then he just stopped and he just looked at me, and he didn't say anything, but he was like, "What the fuck?" And then I could just tell he was sizing me up. And I knew I made a huge fucking mistake at that point. And then he's just like, "Man, don't you know rollerblades are gay?"
Well, he's right. That's what he was right about.
Yeah.
Always takes time out to give someone a lesson.
Yeah.
So you guys did the Nasty Show. That was the year that he hurt Slayton's feelings, I guess.
He hurt Slayton's feelings. I had a couple weird things on that Nasty Show. I had I hope I didn't tell us on the show before with Dom Irera and him. Did I ever tell you that story? No. It was so I was there. Patrice got there like a day or two later than I did, and I was there with all the people from the Nasty Show. Dom Irera being one of them, and I didn't really know Dom very well either. But for a couple, I met him intermittently, and he was really saying about Patrice how he just didn't like him at all. And I guess it all goes back to kind of tough crowd stuff,
right?
Patrice kind of bullying everybody over, and so he just didn't like him. He's like, yeah, he goes, I hope I don't have to follow Patrice. And I was like, oh yeah, he's really good. He's like, nah, I just fucking don't like the guy. And I was like, weird. And so I was like, okay. So Patrice gets into town the next day, and I'm in Patrice's hotel. I'm talking to him in the hotel, and I just kind of casually ask, what happened with you and Dom Irera?
Thanks.
He's like,
it's nice.
He's like, He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. He's like, why? Did you say something? I was like, yeah. He's like, I don't like. He's like, I don't like Patrice. And I was like, I just wonder why he wouldn't like you. Just thinking that, that's between me and him. Maybe I should have said it. And then, of course, later that night when the room clears out and it's just me and Dom Herrera alone, Dom Herrera comes up to me and he goes, hey, I didn't know you and Patrice were like tight, or I wouldn't have said that stuff in front of you, man. He's like, but I mean, why would you tell him that stuff? And I just committed to I didn't. I just fully came out. I was like, didn't say it. He's like, well, it was only me and you in the room when I said it. And I was like, no, you don't think I was throwing everybody else under the bus, like Robbie, the guy who books the festival. Like, I think Robbie was in here. Maybe that kid looks like he talks a lot. I'm more of a, we say between each other is between each other. I'm not that guy.
Herrera is also one of those guys who's like oddly sensitive and concerned about things. It's weird with comics.
Yeah, we all are. Especially, when someone like behind your back, like, someone especially going to smile in your face. It's hard to deal with, especially because they would have went to the show that night and no one would have said anything to each other and just gotten through it somehow.
Yeah.
But then when you feel like someone like doesn't like you, and I can't let that go either. That bothers me.
Do you really?
Yeah, absolutely. We're all sensitive.
Well, you know about some of the shit Stanley was saying about you, why you haven't been in lately.
What did he say?
Forget it.
I thought it was just between us.
Yeah.
Is it my alcohol problem?
Now that, yes, this has gotten weird.
Got me worried.
You know what? I can't believe I blew soda off for you. Let me just say this. When this show hits, and you and Soda have the magic that obviously you don't have with the Skanks, what are you going to do then? Who's keeping me off that show, by the way? Which guy is it?
I think it's Dave Smith.
Thank you.
He's the one.
Wait.
Finally.
You guys were the guys. Out. Yeah. You guys were the guys that got Fez to retire early.
We sent him early retirement.
You really did. More than you think.
We talked him into jumping off the bridge.
I know that.
We're the opposite of heroes.
I know that you're joking about that, but it happened and, it's all behind us. But the thing is, would it be weird if one of the shows started doing a lot better than the other show?
I think the dynamic on them is so different. It's weird. I do, because I do 3 shows. At that point, I will be doing 3 shows, and they're all like me. They all have, but they do all have their own vibe. Weirdly enough, like Legion of Skanks for the title, and I think what everybody thinks it is.
Yeah,
it really isn't a show that's that dirty, like physically dirty. Especially like the SDR show that I do is more me and Ralph Sutton, who you've had in here before.
Yeah.
We have like porn stars on. That's the show that's like nudity, and we're doing on Monday. We're doing they're doing like the girls doing drunk naked twister. We have girls coming over to do, and that's more the vibe of that show. Legion of Skanks has never had female nudity of any kind. Legion of Skanks ideas are much more in the vein of something very awkward we have to do.
Yeah,
all nude podcast. That was a big one.
I turned on the show and saw you guys looking at each other's assholes.
Yes,
so
good example.
You're like, I don't know where this reputation comes from.
Asshole inspectors. That's more than just. But me and Soda, oddly enough, what he draws out of me and what we kind of do with each other is, it's a very clean sort of humor. Not the vernacular, we curse and everything like that, but but it's not if I even listen back to the 6 episodes we did, there's really not a lot of sexual talk or things like that. It's all very talking about our stepfathers and our moms dating. It's a lot of things like that.
It's sad boy talk.
Yeah.
Sad boy talk. Will I be loved?
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much will you be loved, but will you be able to feel loved?
Yeah, no, we won't. We won't be able to feel love. But I think that's I think they all have enough of a different vibe that it's not going to be a problem.
We're all, except for Stanley here, Eagles fans.
Yes.
You have, and I'm talking about the band.
I'm always been a Glenn Fry guy.
But if you, sure, of course, it goes without saying. But do you think that the Eagles have any chance of this Chip Kelly thing working out?
Yeah, I just buy in until there's time not to. You stress yourself in the off season with, is this going to be I just go, okay, I guess he's figuring it all out somehow.
Even though he's trading away the stars.
Yeah.
But after the first game, if it doesn't work out, then you will turn, right?
Not the first game. If they get blown out in the first game, I'll be pretty upset.
Let's all go in together.
I'm impressed you've been able to turn your daughter into an Eagles fan, not living in Philadelphia.
It wasn't me.
Really?
My boyfriend's a Philly guy.
My man is from Philly as well.
So you wouldn't have cared about the Eagles?
No, I grew up watching the Eagles, and my grandfather, watched the Eagles. So it's both, really. It's a combination.
She was more of a Bucks fan, which was a hard thing to do, but that's what everybody did in Florida there. But the Eagles were, His good. It's a terrible thing to turn any kid on to.
The Eagles?
Yeah,
It's a world of heartbreak.
I
sure.
never try to push any of the Philly kids teams on my kids. You know what I mean? I watched them alone, sobbing, and just would be like, okay, it's fucking happening again.
Well, the Phillies, I had a bigger connection to because they did spring training down there. So
Florida.
and we didn't have a baseball team, so that was like our only.
We were
connection.
at every spring training game.
Yeah,
So you changed your allegiance from Bucks to the Eagles?
yeah, I did.
That is a
change.
great quality in women.
Yeah,
Yes, but they will just adapt to what their guy is into.
We want you to win. We want you to feel good.
I mean, Christine only probably knows 4 players on the Eagles, and 2 of them that she'll say are probably gone
Yeah.
this year, but she'll,
She calls them us. We won. We
Yes,
lost.
she does. And she
Women
gets
do
very
that.
excited to go buy a jersey that has bedazzling on
Right.
it.
And see, this is the thing. This is why children women like children immediately, where it takes us a couple of years before we warm up to them.
Right.
Like who's the new guy now? What's happening?
What's with him?
But women seem to love the baby right away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Instant connection. And the guy's like, this is a burden.
This is weird. And they're like, we're still going out on Saturdays, right? Did you see the guy catch the foul ball with the baby in his hand this week?
No.
I put up this picture. This is in Chicago. It's up on the iBang. Under what, Chris? What's the headline?
Everyone loves baby toting foul ball dad.
That's a really long title.
Is the baby in a baby Bjorn?
Yeah. Now look at the way look at the way he's holding the baby.
I like that he points to the baby too. He goes like, right?
Yeah.
This and that.
Both.
Now
Good
I
at both.
put on PTI yesterday, and the 2 fill-in hosts were furious. Not only that he caught the ball with the baby in his arms, which they said was dangerous, that he had the baby in those seats. They're saying, do you know how many line drives go in to that area that could have killed the baby?
Oh, God.
And I'm like, but the baby's not dead. He made the catch.
The baby's fine.
I mean, American Sniper couldn't have a better odds of line driving right into the smallest head in the entire place.
Right. Not that it doesn't happen sometimes. I mean, people get hit with that. But I only feel like you should get in trouble if something bad happened. That's why I wouldn't give anybody a DUI until they wrecked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now you're in
if
trouble.
They wrecked, you're in big trouble. But if you made it home, congratulations.
You pulled it off.
You beat the odds,
You
dude.
won.
You fucking...
Smells like booze in here, but you're nailing it so far.
How did you get home last night? You drove yourself drunk?
No. Segway. We have someone drive us.
Yeah, nice.
Out and back.
Oh, I thought you meant me going from one to the other. Where were you at Ant's place?
Yeah. It's so easy to get drunk there very fast, apparently. He's got a cooled, a temperature-controlled wine cellar.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. That whole house, I go to his house every time and everybody goes inside and I just stare at it like The Exorcist, like outside, just like in envy of how awesome that house is.
Don't you wonder what his neighbors think, though? Like seeing
There's
you
constantly
guys...
people, just riff-raff
Yeah.
constantly. Everyone
Yeah.
swims till 4 a.m. It's
Like,
crazy.
fuck yeah!
You know, it's funny. I'd be curious to hear your opinion on this because I got my first instinct. My ex-wife actually said to me yesterday when I was telling her this that my personality is so much more reserved and not as party and rock and roll as I would like my look to make people perceive.
Right.
And when I was last week, I missed the show because I was in Chicago, and those guys were texting me and calling me like 4 a.m. Like, we're all still here. Dave's sleeping over, man. There's people hanging out. Everyone's swimming and drinking. They grilled some food or something. And I'm like, guys, like, when I'm there, like, someone's got to drive me back, like, almost immediately. Like,
right.
I mean, a half hour after the show. Like, and I know, like, Anthony is great. He's very, gracious and a great host and wants everybody to stay and hang out. But I'm like, it just seems very weird to do that. Just go party at a guy's house every Wednesday seems weird for hours and hours and hours.
So you wanted to get my feedback on which part of this, by the way. I'm curious.
What are you like to stay, or are you like when things are over? Are you like let's ride the night out?
If there's not a microphone on, right, then I'm like, okay, this is the time to get out or do a bindle of Coke.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think the Coke thing comes from, let's try to keep this energy up that we get from the other.
Yeah, so are we going to break into a full-blown orgy, or should I just split? Because if it's just going to be high-fiving drunkenly for 3 hours, I'm okay. I'd rather go home. That's why, again, it kind of goes back to the drinking, is that I'm not a good drinker. because I said maybe Chris has to teach me some things. I don't know how to do it.
Practice.
But
yeah, it does take practice.
Intense practice.
Like any skill.
my thought was, you know what, I'm not driving. Let me get a little loose. Like wine is what I drink when I drink. And I think over the course of a night, I'll do about like 4 glasses and I'm feeling fun. Music sounds a little better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dancing down the street for no apparent reason. Having a good time. This went very quickly to like, I'm just going to pound this now so we can start the show and I'll be nice and loose. But you can't just do that, apparently.
So I thought that you did this as like a show thing. You just literally let the wine get away from you.
I had another half a glass of wine sitting on the table the entire show. Yeah, there it is. There's the glass of wine. I never touched that half a glass, by the way. That stayed there the whole time. And it just very quickly, in the middle of someone's sentence, everybody became 2 of each other. And I was just like, this is a problem.
I don't think if you want to be a drinker, wine is the place to start.
Yeah, wine is rough on the stomach.
Yeah, I didn't start drinking wine till way into my drinking career.
Well, there is a thing in a certain secret meeting, right?
Yeah.
Where we always, that the line is, when you bring up wine, you know that we're getting ready to wrap up the story.
Oh, no.
Because wine drinkers tend to be people that used to be social drinkers and now are scummy wine drinkers.
It's that wine fucking barrel.
just like they found this in the supermarket. Then it's cooking sherry.
It was on sale.
For a lot of people, the wine is worse than whiskey for them.
And it's drinking it in large quantities. It doesn't make sense. It's the whole fermented grape thing, I think, that is just that your stomach is like, no, you could have a sip of that. But would you drink like
bottle?
Would you drink a gallon of vinegar? Your stomach would be like
It is funny though, like how dignified it looks with the long stem glass and thing, and how white garbage it looks like you have a pint glass.
It's both.
It's worse than a box of wine, a pint glass of wine.
It looks nice when there's new paintings up on the wall and attractive people looking at it. But a guy with it between his legs in an alley. You know what I mean? It lives in both universes.
It needs to be in a glass where there's more air in the glass than actual wine. That's
Yes.
that's the
And when you're
point
at the bottom of it, if you're tapping the bottom of the glass to get the last of it in.
I think that was one of the big laughs in Jaws when he's like, you want to let that air a little bit. Okay. Never mind.
Nope. No thanks. It's just pouring it into a water glass to the brim.
I feel bad about the Kittner boy. Look at Big J. He's broadcasting empire now.
I know.
Yeah.
3 different companies.
I'm an audio broadcast mogul at this point.
And you went from not doing it at all. And actually, you were going to be a stand-up.
Yeah, that was my first dream. That dream's over. That's gone. It's gone. Oh, do you know who I met that was he was excited that I was coming down? It's the guy who runs the Rosemont Chicago Zanies. I used to work on Ron and Ron with you.
Who's that?
His name is Dan. Good dude. That's the best I got. Dan. He's from down in Tampa. He did the show with you guys. He said he did tours. He was a comic at one point. He toured, he said, with Carl LeBeau and a couple of guys. He would go around. Raspy voice. Tall, thin.
It's
true. Yeah. Tall, thin. Maybe had a problem at one point. Now he doesn't.
Man.
It's throwing me off.
I'm feeling like
Now he's a
should know
Chicago
this.
guy. I ended up liking that town a lot.
You know, Chicago grows on you. The first time I went there, I didn't like it. Second time, I'm like, well, maybe I'm hard on it. And then after a while, as long as you only show up in the summer, you're like, hey.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm sure the winter is garbage.
One person I found. No.
I don't know.
I think it's picture Steve Jobs.
You know, it was him, right?
Yes, I know him, and that fucker owes me money. Did I just sound a little gay from out of nowhere? That fucker owes me money.
He knows it.
There's someone gay right now that's like, why is he going to start on this?
What I do?
Just trying to listen to his show.
Yeah, I don't get that. So the stand-up is done.
No, I love the stand-up. That's always the core of it.
I always kind of thought, you know what, you have done some strong acting thing. I thought that was going to be your first love.
No, I don't love it at all. Acting?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate the whole process. I love seeing myself on TV doing stuff, but like the process of it, I never ever miss it.
I always think it's funny. I'll see you on Amy Schumer's show, and that how comfortable you'll just be flat-footed waiting for your line. Are we supposed to leave then? I'm like, oh, he's very comfortable with it.
Well, that was take 90. So by that point, I'm ready to go.
Isn't it true that this is the greatest thing about radio is you just turn it on and go. And everything else takes forever to do.
It's unbelievable.
TV is forever.
That day particularly, and I'm, completely in Amy's debt for she's been very good to me. Same with
great.
Louie. Same when I did Louie's show, but there's always a call time, and you just you don't want to argue with the person calling you and giving you your schedule,
Right.
but you really want to talk to them and be like, there's no reason for me to be there. When
I agree
I did
100%.
Louie one time, we moved locations twice before my scene. I didn't know that my scene wasn't being done at the first two locations, but I was called on
Oh God.
to set at 6 in the morning in Brooklyn at an IKEA. And then we filmed way later somewhere in Queens at a strip club.
That's in case anything else happens and they need to
Yeah.
make a change. But they all do that, and they talk to you as if you've never lived on the planet Earth before. They're like, "Will you need water, or do you know where the bathroom?" You're like, why are you fucking talking to me that way?
Right.
Like, it doesn't. I don't fucking wonder if he can make it down the hall here. But in TV, they do.
I think
Productions are very nervous.
I think it's funny too. Like they treat you like cattle until they need you,
and then they love you,
and then they're like, "Okay, we're ready for you now," and you're like,
Yeah, then they dote.
Sitting here
of a
all
sudden.
day.
I'll tell you the most nervous production people I've ever dealt with was the early in my career when I did BET's Comic View. It was an all white crew pretty much putting this thing together, and then all black comics, then me, in baggy pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we did it in Miami, every time I'd go outside, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. She would make an announcement in the room, okay, if anybody wants to smoke a cigarette, now's the time. Jay's going out, and then he'll make sure everyone gets back. I had to wrangle them. She was reaching out the olive branch. Was like, "Hey, come on, help me out here."
Speed production.
And then when she came in at one point, she goes, "All right, everyone," that goes, "These are your meal tickets. You need to give this ticket at catering, and you get to eat." She goes, "I got one for everybody." And she handed me the entire stack. I'm like, these are adults. These are grown adults.
You know what? This is the white guy will lead them.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The white man is going to know how to keep everybody
Yeah.
level.
Come on, guys. Let's not scare this production. Let's all show up. But they have you there at 9 o'clock in the morning for BET's Comic View. When the first show doesn't even start filming until the nighttime. The production's always 2 hours behind, but they have everybody there because they really believe if you say be there 2 hours before the show, that they won't show up, or they'll get there way late, or they'll leave to go fuck a chick at some point.
Right.
And which seems like, a ridiculous fear to have, but it happens.
Sure.
Where did, Shitty McShitpants? They always say things like that. Where did he go? When I did it in Miami, I remember I go up there, they had us silhouetted from behind us. In front of a door, and then the door would open, and I went up there, and the guy came up to me and asked me my name 15 times while I'm standing in front of the door. He's like, "I'm going to announce you as the voice of God." He's like, "What is it?" He goes, I go, "Just Big J is fine." He's like, "Big J, all right, man, got it, Big J, here we go." And then he goes up, and the guy was going after me. His name was Norman Ill, and he just goes, "Everyone from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Norman Ill," and you just see my silhouette go, "Ah, Christ." Just throw the arms up in the air, fuck, here we go again.
All of Big J's early career, he basically was Ryan Gosling in Remember the Titans. He was like, "Hey, who's that fresh-faced white guy who's dancing along with everyone else?"
Oh, that was such an awful. And then it was funny was that guy Norman Ill. When I don't even know if he does comedy anymore. He was from Harlem. I never heard of him before that or after. But I know there was a comic named Dogface who died in the Towers, actually. He was a security guard there.
That's turned dark quick. Huh?
No, but this is
Wow.
actually pretty funny. But
boy.
the comics in the back, well, Dogface wasn't there. This was after 9/11. And this guy Norman Ill went up there, and he bombed hard for 7 minutes, 8 minutes, really bad. And then at the end, he goes, "All right, everybody, that's my time. I'm Norman Ill." And then he points up to this guy and goes, "That one was for you, Dogface." You just dedicated a bomb to somebody? That was the best I could do for you, man.
This reminds you of your death. Everything collapsing down.
Oh, man.
into rubble.
I really wish a plane would have flown into this building 7 minutes ago.
And this will be the kind of stuff that you're going to be hearing on the new show. Mid-July is when
I
it
think so.
starts.
It looks good for mid-July.
Good.
You get some production, some pre-production going.
Get some pre-production going, yeah. Now, you will never have me on the Skanks. Would you ever have me on with you and Soder?
I would love to have you on both of those things.
Good joke, dude.
You know what's great? You know,
Chris, how many times have you called for me? Be honest. Well, now you're trying to make your hair look bad.
Am I?
Yes. You seriously, you look like a frozen waterfall. It's fucking terrible. Why are you combing it straight?
You look like a paperboy on Mad Men.
Yeah.
Is it? I haven't combed it anywhere.
You look like like your own back of your head.
Freakish.
Now, what happens? Who books your show? Who do you call, Chris?
I haven't called them.
Great, thanks.
You know, Chris.
He's great with going for a bit.
You know,
So it's on me then.
Chris is a partner on High Society Radio. Chris, right?
Yeah, Chris.
That's his main focus.
He comes to Skanks once in a while, and he's like, "You guys should do High Society Radio." I say, "Anytime you want us there, we will absolutely be there." Chris Stanley has adopted your theory of saying you want to be on the show and never actually responding to it. I think my last text to Chris was, "Hey man, stop being a queef and come do Leisure Skanks at some point." He answered seconds after every text before that. You know, it was like, "What's up?" Boom, boom. You know, everything came answered real quick. And I was like, "Hey, man, stop being a queef and come on Legion of Skanks sometime." Dead air. Nothing. No response. It's over. Conversation's over. Like, he just put his last, one-word answer and then just chucked his phone into the river.
Well, you do one that isn't all the way out on Long Island, right?
We do one, yeah. Long Island City.
You do Long Island City, and then you do Deep Long Island.
Deep Long Island.
Yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah. I drove off. I went past Anthony's house and off a cliff and into the That's how far out it is.
You hit his moat?
Yeah. Now, you guys are gonna move downtown here, right? In Midtown.
Midtown, yeah. When he gets the studio set up.
Is that close?
It's closer. Apparently, it's over by Penn Station, they said. So, yeah, that'll be significantly. Because that's the thing, it's funny, as the joke of quitting comedy, now Tuesdays and Wednesdays are both days I really just genuinely can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't get back in time, so yeah.
Then you got that weekend job at Wawa where you're working. If you get a second shift,
sure.
If I went to Wawa. I went to my sister's graduation, which you
at Wawa.
Yeah, no, we went to Wawa afterwards though. But we, I thought of you, and Christine will tell you. I said I wish I had recordings of this.
Is this right? Okay, good. She'll back you up.
I really wish I audio recorded this South Jersey fucking graduation. It was one of my favorite. I mean, how hard I had my grandmother laughing at how much I was just making fun. The 5 valedictorians, first of all, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I thought it was supposed to be one.
It takes all that to get a 4.0. It takes 5 of them added together.
But you cannot, as much as you can, possibly have the next president come out of that situation, you really cannot take the Jersey/Philly garbage tone out of your voice on even a valedictorian speech. It really was. It was just making me laugh thinking of you laughing at that so hard. These girls so yeah, and we got to be good to our teachers and shit. And this was a really great 4 years.
I was able to get A's, 2 B's, a D, and then an incomplete.
I was studying back in my house, and
this will always be our home. Here, our home.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Me and my friends got a bagel, and
Now we want to lead off the list of 87 kids that got killed over the last 4 years.
The first 15 are heroin ODs.
Second 10 shot by cops.
That's great too. Really, it's a mixed school, I guess.
Yeah.
First of all, there was I don't know if it was a principal or someone gave a pretty heavy speech in the middle of a graduation just about he just brought up racism, I guess, in lieu, in light of the Charleston tragedy. He really was like, racism. It's an ugly word and just making everyone who is sitting next to each other he goes, and it's out there, everyone. Racism's out there. In those bleachers, there's racism. Oh, not me, though.
Chip Kelly's made some racist trades.
Deshaun Jackson being run out of town. Clear from racism.
What about Deshaun? Anybody? That's those things like a high school principal and even the teachers. they really think they carry so much weight in those kids' lives. And there's none of them that I even fucking recall.
I don't recall any there's no teacher who really touched my life.
Man, none. No, never once was there like I had that moment where I'd stand on a desk for any of those fuckers.
There was no good. I'll tell you what though. One thing black people do bring to the table is and I am envious of it. I think white people need to adopt this more. We need to go a little bit bigger when we're proud of somebody because holy shit.
Yeah.
One guy, when they announced his anything from his nephew to his son, I don't know, had a fucking painting of that kid that he was holding up on a stick.
Right.
I mean, everyone yelled his name but
you know the difference, right? I mean, it's not a shock to us when someone from a family graduates from high school.
I did sort of make that joke a bunch of times too.
We expect it to happen.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
shocked if it doesn't.
No one can believe it.
But yeah, you are right. I was at the graduations, even here in the city, and the positivity and excitement level of the parents was through the roof.
I mean,
through the roof.
They're, it's, the most you get out of a white family, they're like, it's like Nicole something. Everyone's like, yay! But I mean,
Nicky.
they're really everyone's like, that's my cousin. And they start dancing.
Oh shit!
My favorite thing I did was I was able to point out there was a kid when they did the pomp and circumstance walk. There was one black kid wearing shades. And he had sunglasses on the whole time. And I just started looking around and I said to everyone I was sitting with, I was like, that's his parents. For sure. And I was dead on. When they said Kareem, whatever it was, and it was Kareem, that's not just a hilariously racist name. That's his parents' fault for giving him that hilariously racist name. But they lost their shit and they were fantastic. Everything I wanted them to do, they really did. I mean, just like rocking the gate.
Yeah.
They were so happy.
In my high school, and I just brought up this friend of mine the other day that passed away, right? The day of my graduation, I got either measles. Yeah, I got measles out of nowhere, right? So I had this really high fever. My dad took me over and get a shot. I'm still fucking sick, but everyone's like, you're going to, even they were saying, you're going to your graduation. So I get in the car with my buddies. Everyone's getting fucking whacked, right? And I'm just partying a little bit because I could barely, this is great, right? So this friend of mine who just died the other day, he's fucking just slamming whiskey and he's going crazy. And he's saying, I don't know why it became important to him because he was taller. They wanted him to carry the flag, right? So he's going, much as I fucked up, right, to get an honor like this, to carry the American fucking flag at graduation. And he's just hitting this. And I'm like, I don't even know why he gives a shit. This fucking fever's killing me. So he gets so drunk at one point he goes like this, pull over this field. I want to light a fucking fire. A way to just signify that this is a big night for us, right? I'm not even laughing at shit like this. I'm just like, fuck, this fever. So we get there, and I'm not paying attention to anything. He's so fucked up. He's acting like a fucking maniac. They try to take the flag off him. Now, I wish they would have came to me first. If I was healthier, I would have been able to say, I can't begin to tell you how important this flag is. He's placed a lot of emphasis.
He just started a brush fire.
So I look over. He's got the fucking American flag, right? And it's got that pointy thing at the end. Yeah. And he's just jabbing it. Get the fuck away from me.
He's using it as a bayonet.
Yeah. And he's stabbing people with the American flag as we're about to walk in.
Standoff.
So we get down there. Everyone goes up on fucking stage. I make it across, but I'm not even sitting near him. I don't notice. My dad told me about it later. He's fucking passed out, right? He's just fucking sleeping during the graduation, and they would call us out row by row, and your row had to walk down, go around the back, and come out. So he's fucking stumbling out with everybody. What he doesn't know is this old man is fucking crouched down as he's coming down the steps. Boom! Comes up and punches him in the fucking face in front of everybody in the fucking school for embarrassing the family. Fucking lays his shit out.
That'll show him.
Yeah.
I bet that dad didn't get in any trouble either.
No, there was nothing. Everyone's like, hey, he was fucking humiliated.
What a better time.
Yeah.
What a better time if you just punch a kid.
And then at one time, his dad had been a football star at that fucking school, you know?
Oh, so
I guess
it's a legacy.
Yeah. I guess he felt like I'm doing this for the class of fucking 58 or whatever it was. He just punched him right in the fucking face.
That's fantastic. My graduation was, you know what? Because those moments, and again, for some people they do.
Yeah.
But I have to assume the masses of those, like, those really aren't the moments that stand out. And you was like, what an important, big deal day.
Right.
Like finishing school is a big deal, I think. But the graduation ceremony of it's like, just get it over. Like, who cares? Like, I lucked out. Mine, they decided to do it outside, even when they knew there was kind of like weather threatening. And 10 minutes into the whole situation, they just go, all right, everyone, like, it's getting ready to come down out here, so everyone's graduated, go inside and get your diplomas. And it was just a fucking beeline for I remember my uncle passing my grandmother over a fence to my dad. It was just weird, like everyone just trying to make a run for it and climbing fences in mud. Everyone who came all dressed nice, everyone's like climbing fences to get out of there. It was pretty crazy, but it was over in 15 minutes, and it was great, because that day wouldn't have meant any more to me if it was a 2-hour.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything to anybody except for like the principal and certain teachers and shit.
But also, as principals, they got to get it up every year.
Right.
Again, they go out there and be like, the future is yours. And, you know, some stupid speech about like, each and every one of your faces holds weight with me. And you're like, no, it doesn't. You don't give a shit about any of this
I
stuff.
remember our principal going like this. If you did not return your books, your diploma is not going to be in the case. You'll have to come in and pay. Like, this sets a really nice high mark for us all.
I always think it's silly with like the costumes that people wear for the college graduation. Like you have to see your professors, and they're all in these like they're in robes. It's very silly.
I wish we wore them all the time, though. I like those robes.
Those robes.
Yeah, that's what you had to go to class in college.
Yeah.
Everyone's just always wearing them.
Just
looks like
walking
Harry
around.
Potter.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it makes everybody feel like they're inside a shower.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah.
I was hoping if there was a way to organize it, the funniest thing that would ever happen at a graduation is, because it said every time they yell a name, it's everything from like, you know, 2 parents just clapping or woohooing to like, you know, a pocket of like 5 or 6 people, but, you know, and hundreds and hundreds of people. I think we find there's just one name where everyone just went like,
I love that kid.
Everyone just falls in love with one guy.
I always like how they'll put a picture of the dead kid up, like a real
Right.
big picture of the dead kid. You're like, that fucking lucky bastard. Look at him.
Sarah McLachlan song.
Yeah.
My college graduation, I know someone who shit their pants on stage.
Really?
Shit their pants just as at the moment of getting their diploma, and it was filmed. And so then we all got the DVD, and that was like everyone's favorite thing. That was we're all watching it over and over on a loop.
You could tell
because
it's
you could see the realization that it happened.
Was it a dude or a chick?
A dude, yeah.
And did he do it because he was fucking wired? Was he sideways or?
Yeah, he did a lot of heavy drinking the night before to celebrate graduation. And then I guess for some reason at the moment he got his diploma, and you can see his face, and then like the hurried run off the stage.
He's like, I'm just going to coast a hangover fart while I grab my diploma walk.
It's not
Oops.
good. And as much as that shit should not be funny,
no,
it's fucking great.
First of all,
Why should that not be funny? It's great.
It's almost like he shit on the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Like here,
4 years and how expensive college is, and this is literally what he's done with it.
We'll all be facing an uncertain future. You know what I mean? It just sounds like this is too much. That's fucking funny.
It was pretty funny. There was an Indian kid who gave one of the valedictorian. I know, right? He gave a valedictorian speech, and his speech involved him talking about his brother and how important education was to him and his family, and how he made it for himself. He's like, and so, you know, over like these years, he goes, education was so important to me. So, hey, look, I never got to learn how to play the guitar. You know, I never, you know, got good at video games or played any sports. I'm like, I think you can do all those things.
It's not done.
I get a 4.0 in South Jersey, no less. And I don't know how hard that curriculum was. Maybe it was very difficult, but he gave a speech. He goes, and it's a thing in my family. My brother in the middle of college, like he said, I think it was NASA or something, like plucked him out to be like, put him on track to be an astronaut for whatever reason. And he goes, and my brother turned them down admirably because, you know, education meant that much. He wanted to stay in school and finish his degree. He goes, your brother's a moron.
Yeah.
Right.
You shouldn't look up to that. And then 2 minutes after that, we saw an Indian father dragging a kid who was doing the great, like, the dad had him by the arm. The kid's feet were on the ground, but they were just, you know, he just dragging them
Yeah.
along, almost like that. Looking at him, he's like, "You will be a fucking astronaut."
Look, all you South Jersey kids are going to run your own tomato stands. That's it.
You're going to open beeper stores.
Fresh
Fucking
tomatoes.
20 years too late.
Car after car going by.
There's great stuff. There's still ticket depots in South Jersey. Like a place you can go get like concert or sports tickets. Like, I think the internet's handled that. Why do you open a building for this? Why would you waste time paying rent for that at all?
Let's see what all the things Big J's got going on here. Performing at the Funny Bone in Toledo, Thursday, July 2nd, Sunday, July 5th. The podcast Legions of Skanks, live every Tuesday and Wednesday at anthonycumia.com. Twitter is at Big Jay Oakerson. And your new show's starting sometime in July, but I make sure that I'll plug that every single day when this thing finally happens.
It's been such a long time in the making.
Yeah.
It's been ridiculous.
It gave us all a bad Christmas.
There's been complete regime changes here since
absolutely,
I think twice since the time we've done this. Pretty crazy. And Dan Soder's birthday was yesterday, I believe, and it was. I said we've also both changed ages twice in the time from starting this process.
But you never gave up. This
No.
was a dream of yours.
No, yeah, I really wanted to do it, and I'm happy that it all came to fruition. I'm excited for it. It's going to be really fun.
Because Dan never seemed like he was that into it one way or another. And I'm being honest. He's like, whatever. I do a lot of things.
We get it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, more. Yes, again.
We had such a great time. Me and him were both at Bonnaroo together, which that was fun, man. I got to see some bands that I would have never thought I would like, and they were amazing. Mumford and Sons really blew me away.
That's what Chris Stanley believes he looks like.
Yeah.
You do look like you do.
You think like you look like Mumford or the Sons?
Mumford.
You look like Mumford.
himself.
Okay.
He looks just like Mumford.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And you loved Mumford.
I did enjoy it. You know what it was? After the songs that they were playing were great live.
Yeah.
And then he went up and he played drums and while singing and smoking a cigarette. I thought that was pretty badass.
And they're real musicians. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, you like, oh, these guys really can play.
Yeah, and they brought out, like, at the end, they brought out, like, Hozier and The War on Drugs and My Morning Jacket, and they did a big rendition of A Little Help from My Friends, which was great. It was really fun. Again, I don't love the song. It's kind of the hackneyed one to pick for that, but they...
Sure.
But it was, everyone knew it. It was a big
You were just
sing-along.
there with your arms around Soder and your other buddies. We're at Bonnaroo, killing it.
The best moment of like that, like, oh, Jay's having a good time probably is me getting whacked out on vodka Red Bulls and just singing along to Billy Joel every song and looking at everybody else in our group like, right? You know this one. Come on. I'm moving out. Boanna, who wants a vodka Red Bull? I'm going to an open bar. You can never argue with a crazy mama.
That literally should be the theme song of the new show. Hey, welcome to Moving Out.
I was so excited for him. Earth, Wind, and Fire was great. We had a good
I wonder
time.
how much of that is the original Earth, Wind, and Fire guys, though.
Philip Bailey was there.
Is that right?
For sure.
Okay.
And however old these guys are, one of them plays a standing drum kit.
Yeah.
And the cymbal's way up above his head, and he throws jump kicks to hit it, which is pretty amazing.
That's
They were good.
smart.
They were good entertainers. And they do all the things, they kind of roll and fall in line and do,
Yeah, they're like a marching band.
It was like a South
Like watching
Carolina
Ohio
halftime.
State, yeah. All right, we're going to wrap this one up,
Oh, wow,
guys. It's
that's
good to
fast.
see you again.
Thank you for having me in. This is
And-
great. The whole thing's great, man. It looks great in here.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
The
It's a
show's
good
doing
look.
fantastic, yeah.
Well, I'm serious now. Let's not. I want to do the Skank Show. But I really, why do you fucking laugh at that? I really want to do it.
Because every time you do this, it's like we're letting like Dave Smith, the house plant, like he's almost completely dead, and we're gonna throw the hopes out.
Yeah.
And then whenever you say that, it's like you just pour water and sunlight.
Well, who wants to be
you bring
on
him back
most?
to life with excitement. No, we all want you on equally.
But if you had to say, I mean, but it's been a while. I mean, the tough thing to do was to come on there because of the way it made Fez feel, right? Because you guys drove him out of the business. But I mean, that's gone now. He's no longer a public person.
Right.
And then he's asked me to say that to people when they ask how he's doing.
He's not a public person
He's
anymore?
not a public person.
Not
He
living
does-
a public
So
life.
he doesn't even want you to know how he's doing.
Not at all.
Fair enough.
He doesn't live a public life. He actually said these. He said, "You tell those homophobic bastards that I'm not living a public life." But maybe if I knew that you weren't going to be there, I would have done a fill-in. You know what I mean? Because I don't know where to. I'll fit in with you guys. I don't know what you're going to be talking about on that show.
I don't think we have a guest for this next Tuesday or Wednesday yet. So you're more
which one are you doing out at Anthony's place? Because I'm going to go out there, spend the weekend. Seriously. No, I did Ant's show,
Take a swim.
And I had a great time.
You went out there to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I stayed out there for, I think, 2 days. A girl died in my room. But
the adrenaline needle didn't help him bring her back.
Have you met? Is he with the same girl? Is there a new girl? Is there something happening?
Who was the girl?
I don't know. I walked upstairs and ran into someone, and they scurried as they see me. And she was wearing a little bunny suit.
It's like walking through. Remember the end of The Shining when she's running through the whole thing, and the one room there's like skeletons and cobwebs, and there's like a squirrel blowing a butler in another room. Like, what's happening in
She
here?
actually just went like this. Help me, mister.
Get this note to the authorities.
I didn't see anything. So I want to go out. Would it be better if I did it there or at the Creek in the Cave? Because it's a bit of a thing. I think
at Kuma, but it's late. It's a late show. That's the problem.
What time is it?
We start at 10. It goes 10 to 11:30.
You're doing an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't fuck around.
I had no idea. And the Creek in the Cave, is it downstairs? Is it upstairs?
It's downstairs. We have a studio.
Okay.
It's great. It's very
I think
efficient.
That's the one I want to do first.
That's the fun one.
Yeah.
We have a big audience comes in for it every week. It's hot as shit, but we're trying to work on that.
See, all right, I'm already out.
Yeah.
I'm already out.
I'd rather tell you that than have you show up and be like, what the fuck with this place?
I don't want the discomfort. Why don't we just do the show here?
Yes.
I'll do the show with you here one night.
In AC.
That's a Louis J. Gomez idea. He always says, we'll bring it right to him. I go, I know, but he's not going to do it.
But no, that's not true. First of all, now I know who wants me most still. Louis J. Gomez.
No, Louis is just the idea man. I want you the most.
Who's the hype man on the show?
Louis.
Okay, that's who I want to be with.
Yeah, Louis is the hype man.
Hill.
Yeah, he's the Flavor Flav.
Yeah, good. That's a little racist, isn't it? Saying he's our Flavor Flav?
Yeah, well, it's the closest we have to a black guy on the staff.
Hey,
so.
it's closer than I'll ever get.
We have Jews. We have a lot of Jews. Dave's Jewish. I'm Jewish.
You're not really
I'm not
Jewish.
I'm not, but I am.
Who is it, your mother or father?
My mom.
All right, then you are Jewish.
Technically, but
legally, you're a Jew. They have to take you in.
But my mom has a Christmas tree in October, so
now because of your tattoos, you'll never be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
No, is that even a thing anymore? I don't even think it still exists.
I was actually told that was never a thing. Really? I've repeated that for decades.
But I've been told that by Jewish friends that's why.
It's nothing to believe. It's an
all
old
fear-based weird stuff. Yeah.
The other night I did that thing at the 92nd Street Y with Lisa Lampanelli, and she's in the middle of some rant about Cosby, and she's like, I know he was an asshole when he bought all those Spanking Our Gang things and wouldn't put them back out. I don't think that's true. I think that's also urban myth.
What was
Really?
it? He did what?
They said that he bought
Our
up
Gang
the Little Rascals in Our Gang and shit canned it because he thought that it was racism. That Cosby bought it and took it off the market.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's true. I think it's, if you go to Snopes.com, we could finally get to the bottom of it. Joe, are you going to get these things fixed tomorrow?
Yes, I've been in contact with engineering.
Now, he made a song up about you that was so bad that we said we're not going to play it.
Oh.
And you know why, Joe? It wasn't so much lyrically, but from musicality point of view, it was beneath you.
I know. I'm going to do better.
All right.
Maybe he was rushed.
Let me just say this, because I know you had help on the lyrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever listen to the Elton John song where he brought Bernie Taupin in to sing with him?
No.
No. That's where you fucked up, dude. That's where you fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you're musical. You got this note for me.
False.
See?
Never happened.
She brought that up like fact, and I was very like, whoa, I've never, that's
and
a
I
bizarre.
wanted to correct her, then it went on so long, like she was into this other rant.
Right.
And then I didn't want to go, the thing that you said 5 minutes ago? I don't think it's true.
Can we see, did Cher take out her ribs so she could eat her own puss?
See, I I had heard that somebody else took out their own rib.
I thought it was Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson, yeah.
But he started that rumor.
So he could eat his own puss.
He did. I read his book. He started all those rumors about him, so I think it's hilarious.
By the way, I think that puss somehow comes off so much worse than pussy.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know
might
what
as
it is.
You should maybe.
It
just go
seems
with
more
pussy.
bulbous. Pussy thinks you think slot, and puss seems like it's like you got hit with a bat you get hit with a bat in the puss, and then it flares up on you.
It just seems like something bad that your grandfather said. Did you get to taste the puss?
Did you get your hand in that puss?
Seriously, this is the stuff they could bring to the skanks.
Yes, I know. It's perfect.
So it's not Dave Smith that's cock blocking me.
No one's cock blocking you. Everybody wants you to do the show.
I'm dying to do this fucking show, dude. I hate to get laughs for that because I'm dying to do it.
I do
I don't
laugh
get
at-
invited, please.
What I laugh about it is because I wish you were. I should secretly record the conversations I have with me telling these guys the reality of what's happening, and they're just not really buying into it. They go, "No, I talked to him one-on-one. I saw Ron. He says he really wants to do the show.
I do, though.
There's no audience there. There's no one listening. It's just me and him talking to him." I go, "I know. He knows you're going to come back and tell me that, and I'm going to look at you and be like." Guys, stop. He keeps telling me to call that Chris Stanley's his road booker, he says.
Well, we saw that Stanley wouldn't even follow that fucking bit up today. But I am going to do the show. I'm dying to do it for real.
Okay.
This time for fucking real. I always have wanted to do, but I never know when you guys are doing it. Now you're saying it's too hot. Maybe we'll wait until it cools off a little bit.
We can do that. We're also thinking about possibly certain times switching rooms into rooms that are air conditioned and
that'd be
and a
exciting.
little bit better. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it when you guys have somebody else booked that you really want to talk to.
He goes, guys, I'm available. I'm only available today. We could probably juggle this around.
How are we going to get rid of Axl Rose? 'Cause now it'll make it look like Ron's telling the truth. Who's the biggest guest you've ever had on Skanks? Because you're not big on guests, right? It's just you guys.
We have guests every week. We always have but it's just another comedian usually comes in and talks with us. We've had, I think Sal, that was a big get for us, like Sal from Impractical Jokers, which I love that show so much.
I know that you're crazy about it.
I really am. So to get to meet him, and he's such like a great guy.
Aren't they Staten Island guys?
Yeah. Yeah, all of them. They're just like very genuine. I shouldn't say that about all of them. I only know Sal, but I mean, by all accounts, they're all like pretty great
They're
guys.
True TV, is that them?
Yeah. I mean, they're the flagship show, and it's such a pure laugh.
It is.
For stand-up comedians, especially because there's no judgmental eye I could watch it with. I can't say that I would do it different or better, or if it was a funnier person. It's not that those guys do that thing perfectly. And it's also something that I personally, there are comics I'm sure who could do it, but I can't do that. I can't cold fuck with people without them knowing it. I can, if I'm a man on the street and I have a camera, or you walk into a comedy club, I feel like you're in my zone where I can it should almost be understood like this is all kind of tongue in cheek, relax.
Right.
We're having fun. I'm just busting balls or whatever. But where you just walk up to people cold and say horrible things to them or do things, I can't do it. The anxiety would kill me.
Tom Rhodes always said that he couldn't be a stalker because he would giggle and drop the knife. And, you're either in or you're not. I think that guys that can do the prank things are the same guys that would be good at sales. That could just look at people and lie just straight out.
Yeah. I couldn't be a stalker because there's no tree that would hide my saddlebags.
That's not true.
You'd have my
You really
hips coming out of the side of that tree.
That's not true.
Is that tree wearing a wallet chain?
You are doing so many shows you don't even have time to eat.
So yeah, it feels like it. But when I do, we make up for it.
That's great.
Wawa. Let's franchise a Wawa. Let's just do it here in the city. It'll shut down the mom and pop shops.
Well, first of all, there's no mom and pop that deserves to be protected in this fucking Manhattan. I don't know. 7-Eleven is pulled into the city somehow, and I don't get it.
There's like a couple.
And they're doing all right. And you had a 7-Eleven with better, original products, and that 24-hour sandwich that you could
Let me
plug
tell you
in?
this. I will invest in this if you promise to work an 8-hour shift every day.
Can it be graveyard? I'm going to be the guy that comes in the middle of the night. Like, hey, I'm just reading the Enquirer.
We call it Big Jay's Wawa. Big Jay's Midtown Wawa.
Midtown.
How can I help you? Hey, didn't I see you in a TV show with Robin Williams once?
That was me.
Yeah.
Then I have to walk around from the register to go make the hoagie also. I'm the only staff member.
All right, that's it for us. You will hear me and see me soon on the Skank Show. And that's on the fabulous AnthonyCumia.com. Ant's killing it every day out there. And now It's getting bigger and bigger, adding more and more people, becoming a network. Legion of Skanks every Tuesday, Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Jay's performing at the Funny Bone in Ohio. He's truly one of the funniest people. You're doing 2 weeks there?
No, Toledo, Ohio. It's funny, but no, I'm just doing, it's just Thursday through.
All right, Thursday through Sunday.
It's 4th of July weekend, so.
That's a perfect time for comedy, isn't it? Just to be out.
Honestly, and it's only it's only $800 ticket to go to Toledo that weekend, so that's exciting.
Funnybone.com for that. On Twitter at Big Jay Oakerson. We'll see you guys all back here tomorrow in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!